seeing how Jack Sherwood does in the races.
And just like that, we're back here for the final race of the weekend in the GB4 Championship. Not been a bad weekend so far at Silverstone for Fortec behind me. You can see the GB4 garage and also the GB3 garage next to it there with trophies galore. We had trophies for Joel Grandforce. He won one race and he finished on the podium in the second race in the GB3 Championship. And Nicholas Taylor has really been holding it down in GB4. He has won both races so far this weekend to take an equal lead at the top of the championship. However, the grid is reversed for this final race of the weekend, so if he's going to make it 3 wins out of 3, he'll have to do so from 10th place on the grid, which sounds like a tall order, but I wouldn't put it past him given the pace we've seen so far from Nicholas Taylor in the Fortec. But let's see how he stormed to victory in probably the most chaotic race we've had so far in the championship. It was the latest round earlier on today in the GB4 Championship here at Silverstone.
We'll take a look then at highlights for round number 8 of the GB4 Championship. It was a stall from Elias Ardestam at the back of the grid and a great launch from Max Maserati, who would lead the way down into the first corner at Copse. A run all the way round, as we'll see that start then from Elias Ardestam. He'd be able to catch up as the race would progress. 18 minutes on the clock. The run down into the first time into Magnus Beckers of Chapel is Nicholas Taylor under attack from Alex Walker. As they battle it out, Walker would go around the outside, Maserati would lead and Walker would be on the charge. Up to second position as he was marching his way forward on the run down the Hanger Straight. Of course, the drama would continue in the slipstream. Closing. Nicholas Taylor to the outside, making it 3 wide on the run down towards Stowe Corner. Max Maserati would drop back to third position, would be attacked by his teammate, but for the lead of the race, Alex Walker and Nicholas Taylor once again battling it out. The battle between them would be fierce. It would be hard fought as they went through Village and then down into the loop. We were ready for some drama. Around the outside, Nicholas Taylor went. He gave it a good go. There was contact between the two. Somehow, Nicholas Taylor managed to continue. Alex Walker, though, would be out of the race with a car that would not move. There'd be a safety car out, and we would restart with a hill speed 1-2. Max Maserati leading then from Megan Gilks. Tom Mills climbing his way through the order up to third position in the Kevin Mills racing car as he would try and defend from Nicholas Taylor in that Fortec. Elias Ardestam was able to close back up to the group as he would start his charge, working past Christian Leicester down into Copse Corner. At the front though, it was drama. Maserati under pressure, Nicholas Taylor making the move, but watch out for that grey and blue car with the orange highlights. It's Tom Mills and he took the lead on the exit of Chapel in fantastic fashion, watching the top two just battling it away and picking up the pieces. Maserati would try and fire one through straight away, going around the outside of Stowe. He'd give it a go, and once again it was 3 wide with Nicholas Taylor taking the long way around, desperate to take his second consecutive race win in the GB4 Championship. Mills would have the inside for Stowe. Taylor would try and make it stick around the outside, but he'd have to drop back into line, whilst his teammate Waberski was battling with Megan Gilks for 4th spot. Jack Sherwood would make it 3 wide as they ran down towards Brooklands Corner, and the racing was absolutely electric. Around the outside, Nicholas Taylor, he was trying everything to pass Tom Mills. It was just a time of waiting though, feeling very fast around Silverstone at the moment. Waberski keeping an eye on Megan Gilks for that 4th position, just outside of the podium battle. A slow exit though out of Luffield round Woodcote would allow Nicholas Taylor to at least get alongside on the start-finish straight as they head down towards Copse. The 21 on the inside of Tom Mills, looking in his mirror, keeping his eye as to where Max Maserati was around the outside. The bravery that Nicholas Taylor has in the GB4 Championship knows no bounds, all the way around and up into the race lead. Maserati would attack for the podium as well, going down into Magnus Beckers of Chapel. A little bit too much over the curve. It might allow Waberski to pass through as well on the inside. Tom Mills though was going backwards. Maserati would pass, then Megan Gilks Douglas's turn as well, would fire her way through. Again, Jack Sherwood was looking for any opportunity to pass himself and get up somewhere inside the top 5. A dive down the inside of Megan Gilks would guarantee that position as he was looking for his back-to-back top 5s in the GB4 Championship. Way ahead of this though, of course, our race leaders were running away. Of course, that wasn't just those battles. Back down the grid, the 78 as Elias Ardeston was battling his way up the grid. Nicholas Taylor though, out of the final corner. Back-to-back wins in the GB4 Championship for Vortec. Completely dominant after finding his way through the grid. He just ran away from everyone. A sensational drive and a brilliant performance. Great racing from him. Behind, of course, Waberski would come across the line with Max Maserati, the main podium man, and then this close finish. Unfortunately, dropping down the order was Tom Mills. He'd be beaten over the line by less than a tenth from Logan Hanna.
So everyone sees the drivers out on track and you see them throwing the car around there with absolutely no fear. You know, if you follow the drivers on social media, you'll see them working out in the gym, you'll see them in simulators, preparing everything they possibly can for race weekends. But you've got to think about the mental side of things. And I'm here with Tommy Smith from Douglas Motorsport. And you mentioned to me at the end of Alton Park that you were going to see a sports psychologist, because the mental side of driving, especially at the age of 19 and younger for some of the other drivers, is a really important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's massive. I went and saw a sports psychologist here actually in Silverstone, and yeah, it was really good. I was struggling a little bit just with just staying calm in the car. It's so easy in qualifying to get overwhelmed, I guess. So we really worked on the mind and just keeping the heart rate low, and we did all sorts of activities like they had this one, for example, it was like a colour one, and it had a certain colour, but the word was a different than the colour, and you had to say if it was true or false, and just to get your mind going. And we worked on it all day really, and I sort of got the tools now just to use in the car to get relaxed.
And is that kind of an ongoing thing where you continue to see someone?
Yeah, it is. I'll go back and see him. It's almost like physically training. You know, you got to train the mind, so you can't do it overnight. And the more you do it, the better you get, I guess.
We see a lot of drivers, you know, working on their reflexes before racing. Obviously, very important to be alert. Do you have like a pre-race ritual? I've seen people with tennis balls being thrown at them, like something like a bop it kind of game where you're sort of hitting pads and things like that. Do you have like a ritual?
Well, not really. I tried. I used to have one. I used to skip and all that, but I've tried listening to music, and I don't really. I just just try and stay relaxed, to be honest. It's so easy to get overwhelmed, I guess, and then you overdrive. So I just stay relaxed.
Oh, perfect. Well, Tommy Smith from Douglas Motorsport here, talking about the importance of training the mind and having the mental side of driving properly sorted. And one of the drivers in GB4, Logan Hanna, actually is studying to become a psychologist herself. And earlier on, I chatted to her to get it from a different perspective. Yeah. How has actually studying sports psychology helped you with your racing career so far?
It's probably helped a lot more with the lows than it has the highs. At the stage that I'm still kind of studying at uni, it's still very much brain behaviour, a little bit less of the actual mental, I guess, psychiatrist part of it. But being in that environment with doctors, psychiatrists and other people that are like-minded like me, I guess, at uni, it's helping see things in different perspectives. And within sport, motorsport has more lows than highs, so being able to handle those highs to be able to make the high, or being able to handle those lows to make the highs better, it makes everything an awful lot easier when it comes to operating as an athlete, I guess, weekend on weekend, especially at this level. So having my degree has helped me to a certain extent. I think it will help me more as I progress through the years, but it keeps me busy when I'm away from the race weekends and also grounded.
And also something you have to bear in mind is, you know, you're one of the older drivers in the GB4 Championship, but even in the GB3 Championship, some of the drivers there are, you know, they're in the mid-teens. It's a lot of pressure, especially with, you know, me asking questions here, a lot of pressure on drivers. So by seeing a sports psychologist or learning more about the psychology, that must help with everything around the actual driving the car.
Yeah, because there's so much more than just being the squishy bit behind the wheel and driving a car fast. There's everything that's the lead up to the race week, whether it's nutrition, whether it's the way that you kind of approach race weekends, or you approach a race, or you approach qualifying. There's so much of it that's a big mental game. So if you have the opportunity to be able to go see a sports psychologist, it would help you massively rather than do any damage.
And in terms of your studies and your racing career, how well has that been balanced?
Well, it's all right because I'm finished for the year now. I don't have to think about uni till September, but passed everything I needed to pass and doing well so far. But we'll see next year as it gets a little bit more difficult.
All right, well, congratulations and best of luck today, Logan.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at the venue then we are racing this weekend as we head to Northamptonshire, to one of the most legendary circuits in the United Kingdom. It is of course Silverstone, a fantastic venue for any style of racing. If it can be raced, it will be raced around here. A circuit which opened back in 1948, so much history around here. Of course, one of those circuits that was built for an old-fashioned RAF airfield. The length of 3.6 miles, roughly 5.9 kilometres, with so many twists and turns over the three sectors. Iconic is a word which would be associated with such a venue. Over the 18 corners, of course, fantastic ones like Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, overtaking opportunities into the likes of Copse and Stowe with their high-speed commitment, and then, of course, that fantastic section that was built back in the early 2010s where you go through farm, into village, into the loop, and of course that entrance into Brooklands, absolutely superb. And now we'll go to Piers for a lap around Silverstone.
And here we are on board with Elite Motorsport's Jack Sherwood for a lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in these GB4 cars. Got a nice tow here from the car ahead, just a bit distant. Again, this is a long run into the first corner, Copse. Not quite flat out in the GB4 car, but very, very high speed nonetheless. Clip that apex on the inside, slight rotation, that's lovely. Kate, make sure you stay within track limits here. Now we've got another long run, 710 metres to Beckett's corner now. Almost flat through the first section. A little kick of oversteer, keep it narrow and left for the exit through Chapel onto the famous Hanger Straight. Looks like we've got an excellent tow here to gain a bit of extra lap time. Dropped a wheel on the grass, that doesn't seem to have hurt our time too much. Now we've got a couple of moments just to take our breath, reset, ready for the second half of the lap as we go over intermediate number 1 and start sector 2. The all-out Stowe corner here. Where you've got to carry a lot of speed, slight wash from the understeer there. Again, just making sure we stay inside the track limits. We now head down to the heavy braking zone of Vale. Second gear we're going to take here. Keep it left, sacrifice the entry speed so we can get the exit through club. Track falls away from us here, mind that curve, can rattle you off the circuit and lose you lap time. We've got a lovely tow through this section now, through the Abbey, Farm and then into Village. Again, over 130 miles an hour through here, completely flat here, just about staying on the circuit. Then we're left through the Farm corner. Spot your braking zone, a very wide expanse here, so quite hard to pick your braking point. If you get it nailed, then a nice late apex through the and then into the loop. We're again sacrifice the entry to have a good traction on the exit. Mind that curb on the exit. Again, a great tow, so that'll be adding lap time. He'll be able to see on his Delta, just dropping down and down as he heads down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands, past the BRDC on our right. Open up the circuit by putting your two wheels on the curb. Brake just after the board on the right. A little bit of rotation, making the car work here. Slightly held up there, but we're going to send it in to the final corner of Luffield. V the corner off for a strong exit onto the final part of the circuit through Woodcote, and then that concludes our lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be a great racing here, slipstream battles, and we look forward to seeing how Jack Sherwood does in the races.
Hey, I'm here in the assembly area now, just having a chat with the guys and girls from Graham Brunton Racing with Laser Tools. Actually just posing a very interesting question. When was the last time we had both front row drivers female? I mean, I don't know when that's last happened before, especially in this. I'm sure someone can tell us and let us know. But Chloe Grant with Graham Brunton Racing with Laser Tools starts on pole today in this reverse grid race. Her teammate Logan Hanna starting alongside us. So those guys are going to be hoping to maybe get a good start there. Their pace hasn't been quite as good as some of the drivers behind them, so maybe there'll be cars obviously very, very close to overtaking them on that first bend. But some defensive driving. We spoke to Logan Hanna earlier. She was suggesting that she's going to have to be very defensive around this track here at Silverstone to keep those places. So it'll be very interesting to see where they end up finishing, having started on the front row. As we move back, you've got to say that Tom Mills is going to be a big favourite in this race. Tom Mills, car granted, let's say, if the car was fully functional, we don't know how this car is going to perform, to be honest, because over the first two races this weekend, Tom has shown some great driving, but it's been the car that's let him down. Some slight issues there, which have seen him fall back. He was leading that second race with, I think maybe 4 different leaders as that race went on there earlier today. It's going to be interesting to know if they've sorted out those problems there with his dad Kevin Mills racing in the car there. Well, just chatting to him in the car there. Alongside the Fortec driver Jessica Edgar as well. She's here in P4 starting today, showing some good manoeuvres as we've gone so far in the GB4 Championship. She'll be looking to get up there, hopefully on the podium once more. And we can move back here. Lucas Romanek. This is Lucas's first weekend in the new GB4 car. Been showing some good pace, you know, bearing in mind that a lot of these drivers on this grid have done a lot of testing in these cars so far. Lucas coming in just this weekend for Oldfield, showing some good signs of things to come for him. And then we move back to Jared Waberski. If Tom Mills's car isn't 100%, they haven't fixed those problems, I would suggest that Jared Waberski has a very good chance in this race. Great pace. We've already seen him on the podium once this weekend so far. You know, not many cars in front of him in this reverse grid race. So he's got to think he's got a good chance of ending the weekend on a massive, massive high. A lot of support from Jared's followers in South Africa. So if you're watching in South Africa right now, hello. Thank you for your comments. Any more comments you've got, please leave them here on the live stream. We will endeavour to answer as many questions as we can about this championship. As we move back, Elias Ardestam here in the other Fortec car. His teammate Nicholas Taylor, obviously joint leading the championship at the moment. He's much further back, so he'll be looking to get one over on Nicholas Taylor if he possibly can. And obviously racing with his charity here, we can see on the side, I'll just come over and point to it because he's got quite a lot of stickers on the car here. Racing Against Cancer. You'll see some of the drawings on the side of the car there that Elias has discussed with us before, and these are kids back home for him in Sweden where they've drawn these where they're suffering from cancer in hospital, and he's very much helping them feel good about themselves by featuring some of their drawings on his car. And actually there's a few more drawings since the last time we spoke to Elias at Alton Park, so it's nice to see that charity going very, very strong there. Obviously the Ukrainian flag as well. And we're going to have a quick chat. I've not done this before. Megan Gilks is in her car right now with her brother Nick Gilks here, and I mentioned this earlier. It's very impressive to see how some of the drivers prepare for their race. And we were just saying, Nick, that sometimes drivers sit very still and very calm in their car, whereas Megan's fairly chilled. Everyone at Hillspeed is fairly chilled. You're very chilled yourself. What kind of things are you talking to Megan about before the race today?
Honestly, we're just cracking jokes. It's just, we're having fun. It's a very relaxed environment within the team, so it's just overall great to be a part of.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to have a quick word with Megan if we can, because if you saw our coverage at Alton Park, we discussed with Nick and with your dad Brent as well, the need for donuts. And Megan, I'm just going to ask you, we talked about Timbits and Dunkin' Donuts before. Have you powered up for this race on the donuts today?
I haven't yet, but have you brought me some?
No, I've not. No, sorry. Was I meant to?
I'm going to have to get out the car. I don't think I can race them.
Okay, yeah, I don't think Megan's going to race. I think we have to pull her from the grid. If we can just pull Megan from the grid, lack of donuts is the reason there. That's probably the first time ever that's happened. We've got maybe the first ever all-female grid in the GB3 Championship, GB4 Championship, of course. And then, you know, we're going to have Megan pulling out just because I haven't brought her some donuts. But best of luck, Megan. Megan there driving for Hillspeed. Obviously, her brother Nick, you'll see driving a little bit later, straight after this race, in fact, in the GB3 Championship, which will end our coverage this weekend. 6 live races this weekend. Already had 4 crackers. I'm sure this one will be pretty decent as well if you saw the second race in the GB4 Championship earlier today. Mind blown. I mean, Lewis McGlade, I thought he was going to explode at one point. Piers probably a bit more chilled out, but Lewis McGlade absolutely losing his mind there over that race. We move back here to the joint championship leader, Nicholas Taylor, sitting very calmly in his Fortec car, number 66. If you're looking out for him, this is the first time you're watching this live coverage, showing exceptional pace. And the reason is that he's so far back. If you're just joining us, this is the reverse grid. So basically, the fastest cars in the qualifying are towards the back, which means the people who are a little bit slower in that qualification, maybe if the drivers had a bad qualifying session or they just haven't had the race pace, it gives them a chance to be much further forward. We'll see what they can do. It also gives those cars that are faster towards the back of the grid, because they were fastest in the qualifying, a chance to do some pretty good overtaking, hopefully. Let's move back a little bit further here. This man here, I mean, we've said many things about Max Maserati, and he is a very, very chilled man. Let's see if we can see what he's looking like right now. He's a cool customer normally. Yeah, see, he's still cool. He's still... if there was one rock star on the GB4 grid, I think Max Maserati is the rock star. Number 81, if you're looking out for Max in the red and white Hillspeed car there. We move back to the 2 Elite Motorsports cars. We've got Jack Sherwood and Alex Walker. Jack Sherwood here on my left. with Alex Walker, the joint championship leader. Not such a good race for him in that second race earlier on, having a collision with Nicholas Taylor. It was deemed to be a racing incident in the end. Alex obviously not finishing that race, so he'll be looking to end his weekend with a good result here, but obviously starting just one place before the end there, because he was the fastest in qualifying to start off with. And then the man, the myth, the legend here, Christian Leicester at the back with Rosso Verde. We can see him just getting ready here. Very striking helmet, I have to say. Very nice green and orange helmet from Christian Leicester. So we'll hope to see him overtaking from the back there and see if he can make up some positions in this final race there. If you're looking out for Christian, it's number 7. You've got the 3-leaf clover on the front of there, the symbol of the Irish team, I guess you would call it. I'm not sure why it's not a 4-leaf clover. Maybe we'll ask why it's not a 4-leaf clover. We'll find out from the team. Let's move a bit further forward. I think the car's nearly ready to go out. We'll see if we can grab someone here to discuss things, see how the weekend's been going so far. Who is around? I have to say, I've noticed some of the teams, I'm going to let you into a bit of a secret, they've packed up all their awnings and things like that because they're not thinking it's going to rain. They're thinking, you know what, after the day, we've got a long way to go home. We'll get going. Graham Brunton Racing, they've got to go all the way up to Scotland. Looking up at the sky, that might have been a little bit of a premature decision because there are some rain clouds around. Let's see if that affects the race. We're going to have a quick chat here with Nicholas Taylor's family. Chris, can we have a chat with you? Yeah. Here we go. So you're Nicholas's brother. He's had a very good weekend so far, but if he's going to make it onto the podium for this third race, he's going to have to do so from, right at the back of this grid. Do you think he can?
I think it's possible because this track is so big and such long straights. I think the start's key, but it's going to be tough. It's very tough.
Now, we feel like you've styled yourself on another person on the grid today. Do you have any inkling who I might be suggesting?
No.
Well, have you met a man called Max Maserati?
Yes, I think I have.
He's a striking guy, right? He's a very cool dude, but he's got one signature thing, and that is the aviators. I see you're rocking those ones there. Was that influenced at all by watching Max?
No, I had aviators before, but yeah, Max is he's a good-looking guy, to be fair.
Yeah, good-looking guy. Perhaps the best-looking guy on the grid behind your brother, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely second best.
We were just talking actually with Max and just talking about how people prepare for the race. How does Nick prepare for the race? Because I feel like he's fairly calm in the car. Max, one of the calmest. I mean, he's there doing whatever that means, and he's doing all the peace signs and everything. Whereas some of the drivers, they've got family and friends around, like Nicholas has. Is that more what he prefers?
I mean, he always prepares by looking at onboards and stuff and previous practice sessions and stuff. So he's always very prepared and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I think he's getting experience very quickly, which I think is a unique skill to have, which is very good. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, look, we're going to move on, but thank you so much for chatting to me, and thank you very much for representing Max Maserati as well as your brother here, Chris. Thank you, and Nicholas's family. I'm sure we'll chat to you another time. There we go. I'm sure Max would love that. He's inspired someone else to maybe look like him. Let's walk down the grid here. I think we might have a short delay. We're just hearing things in my ears about maybe a short delay due to the race before. So we're going to go and chat with Jared Wilburski's dad now, Garth Wilburski. Garth, can we have a quick word? No comments about laundry today, last time. How's Jared feeling? I feel that Jared's got a really good chance here, given where he is on the grid and his speed.
Yeah, I think he has. I think Tom's been unlucky. We've had engine changes, Tom, so hopefully that will cure his problem for the race. I think Tom will be very strong. I think we saw in race 2, Tom was amazing. He got up to the lead from 10th. So, but I think Jared's done. I think he's in the best position, but I think here with the long straights and the towing, anything's possible. So it's going to be a fantastic race. I think a lot of desperate moves are going to happen today.
Absolutely, it will. And we obviously a former racing driver yourself. Did you ever get to race here at Silverstone?
Yes, I did. It wasn't a new circuit. It was version 3 or whatever it is, with the old Luffield and that. So yeah, it's a lovely circuit. It's just so long and wide. It's a proper Grand Prix circuit, and it's got so much history and heritage that everybody wants to race here. I mean, if you look at the podium at the old that we use today, it was the old Grand Prix podium. So it's such a great history here. It's an awesome circuit.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be back here later in the season as well. Garth, thank you for chatting to me now. Best of luck to Jared Wilburski there. We'll just move back to the front of the grid. The cars are about to be released here, and I think Lewis McGlade wants to talk us through the current standings in the GB4 Championship.
I certainly do, John, because it is really, really exciting at the top level of the GB4 Championship. It is so tight. It literally could not be closer between the top two. Alex Walker and Nicholas Taylor both on 188 points. Max Maserati, of course, behind with 5 podiums in the season. He is third in the championship, not too far behind, with Jared Wilburski in 4th place. Tom Mills, obviously a little bit a fair way behind, still ahead of Elliot Ardeston by just a point, but is kind of bleeding points at the moment, though, as he dropped backwards. Megan Gilks, of course, after that victory to Setterson to start the season, down in 7th, then Jack Sherwood, Jessica Edgar and Chloe Grant, the top 10 in the standings. Obviously, incredibly tight up there. The big lead that we were talking of coming into the round here at Silverstone, of course, was Alex Walker basically kind of running away with things. Suddenly, one retirement, and bang, we are all on.
As the famous phrase goes, what a difference a day makes.
Absolutely.
I butchered that song, but
We'll
it's
go
something
with
like that. Anyway, as you can show, 1 or 2 bad races can flip a championship on its head, and Nicholas Taylor right in the hunt now and in the pound seat with the pace as he has shown so far.
Well, the pair of them having 3 wins apiece. They both had 1 win each back in Snetterton. Alex Walker, of course, dominated the Open of the Alton Park round with a double win, and then Nicholas Taylor took a double win, of course, today. He's aiming for a 3rd consecutive win. It is possible for him to do this weekend, to take a clean sweep of the race victories, but it's not going to be easy. It is one of those circuits they can pass on, though.
As already been shown, I mean, race 2, what a race that was. We absolutely loved commentating on that. I know we've been getting a lot of feedback on that we've enjoyed. People love watching on the stream. Hopefully you caught that earlier on. If you didn't catch it, make sure that you find it on MSV TV and rewind on YouTube. Go and watch that later on. It sounds like we're getting fired up, ready to go.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when it comes to this grid, of course, a reverse grid race. We've got 13 cars in GB4. Those that qualified, their fastest qualifying time was within the 103% rule, get reversed, which means the only one missing out is Christian Leicester, so he'll still start from 13. Everyone else is reversed. Kind of ask the question, who do we think is going to win this race? We're both in the same kind of camp on this one.
Yeah, exactly. I was chatting to Richard Randall, the PR manager. He came in and said, what do you think? What do you think, guys? Who do you think is going to have it here? And I think we've heard that Kevin Mills' racing team have been working very hard in their grey and blue cars, and that Tom Mills has got some fixes that potentially should unlock some lap time that he's been lacking in a straight line. So hopefully he'll be able to have a good one. I am tipping Tom Mills for the win in this one.
I did have a brief little chat with a couple of the engineers of the team. They were suggesting it might be something to do with overheating, so it makes sense based on the fact that the car was doing really well at the start of the race. Tom Mills rising up, leading a lap, and then it dropped off quite rapidly. Kind of makes sense in that way. Hopefully they have fixed those issues. As far as we're aware, knock on wood, they should have. So, and if that is the case, based on that race,
we know he's been a fast starter as well at Alton Park, jumping up many positions. He's only starting 3rd position, 2nd row. If he gets a good start, he could be in the lead by turn 1, or even at least by half around Stowe, because I know that he's got some savage pace when he can unlock that in the car. It doesn't look like the front two had potentially the pace of the rest of the grid, so I see them going backwards. Hopefully they can hold their own and have a nice strong finish, but yeah, I reckon Tom Mills could be stronger than Jared Weberski as well, though. Not much further back.
No, just in P6 is Weberski. Obviously, we'll take a look at the starting grid in a moment's time once they've started rolling off of the grid. It's going to be a good one. I will say one thing. This weekend, of the 2 races we've only had 1 staller as far as I'm aware, and that is Elias Ardeston, so I can actually get away with it this time.
Yes, much more of an improvement. We saw at Alton Park and also at Snetterton, the drivers getting used to the clutches in these cars. They're not the easiest cars, not like an all-road car where it's a nice, easy clutch, long clutch. These are very, I'd say knife edge. You have to really keep the revs up. We've only got 160 horsepower in a car that weighs about 500 and something kilos. Is very quick, but to get that biting point perfect and make sure we don't stall is very important.
Well, it's all Graham Brunton racing on the front row of the grid for race 3 of the weekend and round 9 of the championship. Chloe Grant on pole position ahead of Logan Hanna as they'll take up top honours at the moment. Tom Mills in 3rd spot, just ahead of Jessica Edgar. She's looking for another podium in the GB4 Championship after taking it in the 3rd race back in Alton Park. Lubis Romanek in 5th place with Jared Weberski, who looked so quick over the weekend, looking for a podium. It will be his first time taking back-to-back podiums if he can do it in this race. Elias Ardeston in 7th place with Megan Gilks in 8th. As we head down the order, of course, it would be Max Maserati. Wonder if he can get another podium. He's been ripping it apart in the GB4 Championship. 5 podiums. Nicholas Taylor, double race victory from 10th place. Well, Tom Mills led from 10th place in the previous race. I wonder what he could do. Jack Sherwood from 11th, and Alex Walker, after that retirement, losing all of those points, now joint on the championship lead, not the sole leader. He'll roll off of 12th with Christian Leicester, the only car not reversed on the grid, rolling down from 13th spot. It's going to be an exciting one.
It's going to be a great race. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping we get as much drama and excitement as we had it in race 2. I know that the microphones didn't enjoy it on our side, but very much looking forward to it. And note, no drivers taking new tyres this time. They all have taken them either in race 1 or race 2. So all in theory on roughly the same age tyres, all on used tyres. So they should come in pretty quickly, but then potentially going away at the end of the race, depending on how hard they have worked them in the previous races.
Yeah, I mean, it was a thrilling race, so much so that I think I deafened half of the YouTube population that was watching. John Jackson said that I nearly exploded. He's absolutely right. I was pretty much at boiling point. You were sat right next to me. I'm pretty sure you were terrified. It was absolutely manic. I kind of get the feeling, with it being a reverse grid, knowing how these races are, knowing how these cars race, I think we're in for the same kind of thing.
Yeah, it looks like we're having a very slow rolling out lap here. Chloe Grant obviously taking her time, not wanting to spread out the field too much, getting that temperature into her tyres. Long lap round here, 5.9 kilometres or 3.6 miles, so it takes a while on the rolling laps, but they're doing it in just about 2 minutes at racing speed, averaging over 100 miles an hour, even in this GB4 car.
So we were actually, obviously John Jackson was asking a little bit earlier about preparations and stuff. I think we spoke in the previous round about weird things that drivers do as like rituals before the race. How did you used to prepare?
I used to make sure that I was plenty warm enough. I like feeling like I'm physically ready, and I used to use that physical warm up as a bit of a mental preparation. So I used to do the standard. I used to do a sort of a pulse raiser sort of thing, and then I'd make sure that my legs, I don't know why, but I feel like if my legs are tight and they're lethargic, then I feel lethargic. So I used to do lots of like sort of jumping around, skipping, lunges, that sort of thing, and then warm up my upper body, the neck as well. Especially in those GB3 cars around here, there's a lot of strain on your neck, a lot of long corners, high speed. So making sure your neck's warm and ready to go. I just feel like it makes you feel prepared, which is such a mental sport. This, with the margins being so fine. If you feel mentally prepared, you feel like you're good to go, you feel like you're ready to fight, then that's obviously going to be the last percent. Some drivers like to take things a lot more chilled, but it's up to everyone. I mean, I'm fairly a chill person anyway.
Who you're speaking about?
Yeah, well, as we saw before the race, Megan Jokes chatting about donuts. Let's see if the thought of those donuts are helping her in the start of this race.
Both the hill speed drivers seem very relaxed, all things considered. I honestly feel, obviously I wouldn't know in the real world of things, but I'd get the idea that I'd be pretty tense right now.
Yeah, I suppose once you've done it thousands or hundreds and thousands of times with racing, it becomes, you get into your own rhythm, you get into your own technique, you get into your own flow, I suppose. And some drivers find that they drive better when they're relaxed. Some drivers feel like they need to be revved up a little bit. I personally was a driver that I'm quite a naturally relaxed and stress-free person, so I needed to sort of get myself a bit like more revved up. Whereas other drivers, maybe Megan and by the look of it, Nick and GB3 as well, they're very chilled people, so they just they just go with the flow, see what happens.
I don't think anyone would be shocked to hear that after the previous race that I am not the most calm and relaxed person based on how much shouting was going on. And again, I would apologise, but I think we're going to get some more in this, so it would be preemptive for me to do so. You can see all Graham Brunton Racing on the front row, and Chloe Grant way too far back in her box. That's going to be just not good for the start. She's got more space to work into on the 200-metre run down towards Klopp's Corner as we get ready to go. Round number 9 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. It's Jessica Edgar who stalled on the grid. Everyone manages to avoid her. Well done getting past. It is a good launch from the GBR cars, who are leading 1 and 2 with Tom Mills behind. There is Jessica Edgar, stalled on the grid. Yet another race, and unfortunately for Fortec, that'll be one of the cars essentially out of the running. They're side by side going around the outside. Logan Hanna taking the race lead. Tom Mills a little bit too deep. Oh, he just manages to catch it up though. Logan Hanna's at the front. It's side by side for second position. Tom Mills trying to go around the outside. Watch though for Romanek, who's going to try and take something from all of this. Obviously the momentum being carried, and guess who's coming through? Nicholas Taylor, that's 66, as he's trying to make his way through up into 6th or 7th position. 3 wide once again. Tom Mills on the outside, Chloe Grant in the middle, the number 73 of course of Romanek. A little bit of contact as well on the inside as the Fortec was absolutely sending it in. That one being Elias Ardestam. A crazy start to the race. Tom Mills losing the positions, and it's Logan Hanna leading 4 wide. Oh, and goodness me, that is sent up into the air. Jared Waberski getting absolutely hit from our championship leader Nicholas Taylor. Lost his front wing. That was crazy.
Oh my goodness, that's effectively race over for Nicholas Taylor. That was an absolute nightmare. It was a high risk manoeuvre going 4 wide on the inside there. 4 into 1 does not go.
I mean, 2 into 1 into there is brave. 3, Yeah, okay. 4? Nah, that's
Bold.
never going to work. Never going to work. We need to take a look at how that even began. Who was making it 4 wide in the end there?
It looked like Nicholas Taylor, I don't know whether he realised it was already 3 wide. He just stuck his nose at the inside, and then the clash of wheels through the car in the air. I was worried that it could, it could be a dangerous move, that, but it looks like everyone got away physically unscathed, even if their cars are damaged. Let's have a look at this. I'll let you talk through this.
Yeah, we need to really pick this apart. So obviously it's a little bit further back in shot. So there, see, they kind of all just make it 4 wide. I don't really know how to describe it because they were 2 wide and then 2 wide, and it just sort of became 4 wide as they rolled into the corner.
Exactly, yeah. Who have we got in the lead now? Is that how
Logan
Logan Hanna is still maintaining the lead? Lucas Romanek now in 2nd place, followed by...
Oh, Alex Walker! Oh my goodness.
Dropped a wheel on the exit. They're easy to do on the exit of that corner with the gravel right on the exit of the curve. You drop a wheel off, it bottoms out. It looks like we've got... Is that the other elite car?
Well, there is Nicholas Taylor out of the race. He is done, and that is indeed Jack Sherwood has got past Alex Walker, which, if this is a race where Nicholas Taylor is out of the race, this is time for him to make up the points that he lost in the previous race. Still time to do it, of course. 15 minutes, 30 seconds, plenty of time on the clock to make his way up, but he can't afford to go wide and lose position.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if he just resets now, it's okay. He's not far from the lead. And I see this pack at the front closing up, because you've got Logan Hanna, who hasn't actually had the pace to lead the race in the other races, and now she's been caught by Lucas Romanek. Obviously, Tom Mills looks like he's got some more straight line speed now, so he'll be able to catch them, and all that fighting will bring them all together, and then it could be a situation much like race 2 where we saw everyone coming together at once. It's going to be an excellent race. Still, top 6 cars under 3 seconds.
Yeah, and I think this is, like I say, it's going to close up a little bit. Logan Hanna might struggle just a little bit. The hill speeds, though, that are so quick in a straight line and so quick around the circuit, obviously running in the back of shot in 5th position, 1 position behind. This is Elias Ardestam, the next car back in that red and white. That is the 81 of Maserati. Watch out for them making progress as he's looking for another podium. Romanek closing in that black and white Oldfield Motorsport car, really closing in on Logan Hanna. What a show he is putting on at the moment within the GB4 Championship, but he's got to worry about Tom Mills. There's Elias Ardestam with Max Maserati. Big lock up from him. He's going to go a little bit wide, nearly under attack from his teammate, but they all still remain in the same positions.
Yeah, great showing from Lucas Romanek at the first round, and the 2 elite cars still going at it. Is that? Yeah, that is. It's Alex Walker challenging Jack Sherwood for that position, but not being able to make that position yet. They need to work together at this point. This is when you need to work with your teammate, when you can see the group in front for the lead are fighting. Alex Walker should... It's, again, another lunge. He should be thinking, right, we're going to catch them. We've got the pace. We were the 2 fastest cars in qualifying. Let's just take a moment, trust that Jack can catch the next group while they fight, and then once you get to them, then it's gloves off.
I think he might be panicking is probably the wrong word, but I think there's a little bit, playing on his mind at the moment. Still down the order. Maybe doesn't know where Nicholas Taylor is. Look at that from Elias Ardestam, though, who's going side by side with Tom Mills down towards Copse Corner. They're going to be just close on the exit, but it's still going to be the advantage to Tom Mills, who's not been able to really attack Romanek for 2nd position as his eyes focus on his mirrors. He's looking backwards at the moment, rolling through Maggots, rolling through Beckett's. It's still that battle for 3rd position where the train really is. Mills, Ardestam, Maserati, Gilks as well with Sherwood and Walker, but ahead of all of that, Logan Hanna continues to lead here at Silverstone. It's, I mean, she's doing a great job. No mistakes so far. Absolutely on fire right now.
Great race. She's doing excellently from the front here, but I see this group closing up as we can see more 2-wide action, because fastest lap of that last lap, Megan Gilks 203.2 to Logan Hanna's 204.6. 2nd a lap faster. This is going to close up.
You said she was looking quick, and the hill speeds were, oh goodness me. Max Maserati going to the outside of Elias Ardestam as they commit on the brake. Jack Sherwood straight down the inside though in that black and yellow car, diving it down the inside of Megan Gilks. This is Alex Walker's attempt though. He goes for the up and under. They're going to be really tight as they run through Club Corner, back onto the Hamilton straight. It's Max Maserati going for the outside line on Elias Ardestam as they'll run down towards Abbey. Jack Sherwood might take an advantage of this. Look at this around the outside. It's so brave from Maserati, not able to get past the Swede, and Jack Sherwood's coming through heavy onto the brakes as they run down into Village. Big lock-ups as well. Sherwood does make up the position. The 2 hill speeds now behind the elite car as that's Megan Gilks making a position on her teammate. They've got to be careful not to trip up over each other. Maserati with the up and under as they head through Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight.
Oh, that's nearly a salver in Formula 1 there, touching on the exit of that corner onto Wellington Straight. You can see Alex Walker trying to make this 3-wide tuck in the slipstream. He's going to get both of them here on the inside. I can tell you that now. Here he goes. Oh no, he thought better of it. Championship in mind. Whether he knows Whether he knows, oh, he's got one of them, that's it, and can he go around the outside of the last corner? Whether he knows whether Nicholas Taylor is out of this race at this stage, I'm not sure. Depends on whether Elite Motorsport have got that ball where he can say Taylor out. We often see that in MotoGP.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there was a little bit of contact there between the two Hill Speed teammates, and that nearly allowed Alex Walker to come through. He's got to the outside as they cross the start-finish straight. He's on the 64 of Megan Gilks as Max Maserati's ahead. Still returns then to the rear of that little group, so he's in 8th spot at the moment. Jack Sherwood clearing both of the Hill Speeds on that lap, so he is up into 5th, and if he finishes 5th, it would be his 3rd consecutive 5th place finish here at Silverstone.
Again, excellent consistency, and we know that consistency is what gets you championships, because every time someone drops a race or drops a it has a non-finish, it really, really hurts their championship, because they obviously lose those points. Lucas Romanek now on the outside of the hangar straight, going for the lead.
Oh, this would be excellent. If he can do that in the Oldfield Motorsport car, what a debut it would be. He's got to the outside, he's committing to Stowe, he's going to throw it in. Romanek to the lead of the race, is he going to do it? Yes, he is. The 73 at the front of the race as Logan Hannah runs a bit wide. It would be a shame for Logan Hannah, she's eyeing up her first podium of the championship, but Romanek on debut hits the front of the field.
Who'd have thought that? At this start of this weekend, Lucas Romanek and Oldfield Motorsport, a one-car team, used to running in Formula Ford 1600, first race, first round, as we got some side-by-side action at the back.
Yeah, Jack Sherwood once again making up another position potentially. Great straight line speed on that car. He's to the outside of Elias Ardeston as they run round Abbey. Yes, he's committed to it. He's run a little bit too deep, bounces up and over the curb. It's going to slow him down. Of course, Megan Gilks is going to close, or sorry, Max Maserati is going to close in a little bit. Jack Sherwood throws it in on the brakes. He's trying to remain on the outside as they go through Village down into the loop. Maserati sending it around the outside of Jack Sherwood in the red and white number 81. I think he might well have done it. The 78 drops back a position. Elias Ardeston holds himself at the front of this group. This is for 4th place in the race. The battle for 5 cars, all trying to fight it. They're allowing the top 3 to clear away as we're side by side up towards Brooklyn's left-hand side of his shot is Maserati. His teammate Megan Gilks directly behind. It's Elias Ardeston hanging on. The 78 though of Jack Sherwood, as much as he's made so much progress, he's starting to drop backwards a little bit as we head into Luffield.
It was Noah's Ark down the Wellington Straight 2x2 there. And also, 2 was on the dirt there for Jack Sherwood. Can that let Alex Walker on the inside, or is he going to close the door?
I think he might close the door. These two did battle quite hard in the 3rd race, of course, at Alton Park, and Alex Walker's there. He's alongside his teammate, whilst Elias Ardeston in the foreground is trying to defend from Maserati. Alex Walker is down the inside of his teammate just behind us. I think he might well have just got it done. I'm not 100% sure, though.
No, it looks like Jack Sherwood has been able to hold that position, I believe, and we'll just confirm that in a moment. But again, these 2 Hill Speed cars right together now.
Yeah, it is Sherwood still ahead, the 78 still ahead of the number 41, Elias Ardeston. In this group, this battle for 4th, it's Elias Ardeston, Maserati, Gilks, then Sherwood and Walker, the 2 elite cars, whilst running away. Once again, it is that Oldfield machine. I mean, I've got to say, doing such a good job as Romanek, Logan Hannah for Graham Brunton Racing, Tom Mills, he's there or thereabouts. I just don't feel that car's still 110%, sat in 3rd spot at the moment, but it just doesn't feel like it's got that racy pace that we saw in the previous race. Look at this though from Jack Sherwood, back to the outside of Megan Gilks, trying to throw it around the outside. We've seen that into Vale a few times this weekend.
He's done so well there to keep it off the grass. He was literally up against the grass there. If he'd have touched that on those brakes, that would have sent him straight round. A bit naughty there from that Gilks ahead, just squeezing him, and maybe she was unsighted. We see that in GB3 at the Alton Park with drivers crowding themselves off. But these elite cars, they seem to be fighting each other, and it's sort of holding them back, because the two Hill Speed cars and the Vortec are staying in formation.
But when they've been so fast this weekend, this would be a little bit disappointing if they don't make more progress. Of course, there is still plenty of time, 8 minutes left on the clock. What that'll mean is from this point on, it should be 4 laps left to go in this race. It means I think we'll get 9 laps of running throughout this race. It is the case, yeah, 9 laps. So we're a lap shorter than we were in the previous race, obviously just out of the heavy battling at the front.
Exactly. We've not got the fastest drivers at the front, so they're just losing that few seconds to get the extra lap. Well, that will be confirmed in a moment. We'll find out if that's the case. And Alex Walker looking around the outside, he's going to get the cut back. He tried this a lap before, touched the curb, not quite close enough this time. I still think they need to be working together here. Ultimately, yes, you want the position, but they could both use the fact they're in the same team to then get through this whole group, and they could, in theory, be in the position of 4th and 5th, as opposed to where they currently are at 7th and 8th.
Well, I mean, I've got to say for Lucas Romanek, who is leading at the moment, of course, he'll get 20 points for the race victory. To remind you as to how the points work in this race, you get 20 points for the race win, but you also get a bonus point for picking up places. So Romanek started from 5th place. With the positions that he's gained, it means he'd take 24 points from this race. Obviously, you know, not fine for the championship, missed the first 2 rounds of the season. Point being, he's gained 4 places, and he's leading the race, and he's looking strong. Logan Hannah, though, is closing back in.
Looking very strong. His last couple of laps were almost identical. His fastest lap the previous lap, 2:03.08. Last lap, 2:03.09. Although Logan Hannah, 2:03.09, matching his pace and now in the tow, just 7/10 behind. And Tom Mills, similar pace, 2:03. Actually, last lap he must have made a mistake. He's just not quite got the pace. Maybe that car hasn't been quite fixed yet. We'll find out.
Well, if it is overheating again, you know, obviously he started out quite quickly. He started to drop off again on speed, kind of alluding to a similar issue from the previous race. There might be some gremlins still left over, because it's kind of what happened in the previous race. The difference is that in that last race there was a safety car period. Everyone was super close in that little battle. So when you start to have those struggles, you're obviously going to get past left, right, and centre. The fact that this grouping with Elias Ardeston at the front of it, then Maserati, then Gilks, then Sherwood, then Walker, the fact they've been battling so hard has given himself a 2-second lead over that group that he might well be able to hang on to.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It seems like he hasn't quite cured those pace issues. I see if I can get the speed splits here. Yeah, he's down on speed. Romanek and Logan Hannah, 107 and 107.7. How a mile and a half down on everyone else. They're in the 108s in the tow, so it seems like he still hasn't quite got that pace in the straight line, which is a real shame, because we've seen how many good moves he's made in the first couple of rounds, and he's just not able to use that at the moment. Although, if this group behind starts fighting again with Ardeston, Maserati, Gilks, Sherwood and Walker, that could keep him safe on the podium.
It was Gilks looking to the inside of Maserati there, the 2 Hillspeed teammates, but that look might open the door as Jack Sherwood's going to look to the inside. These two have gone side by side to Magnus Beckett's and Chapel a couple of times, and this time Jack Sherwood is down the inside as we roll through Beckett's. That is Megan Gilks just lifting out ever so slightly there. Maybe Alex Walker was thinking of coming back through. Fastest lap of the race in the previous one did go the way of Jack Sherwood, so the pace coming back, made a lot of progress early on, lost it, starting to gain it once again. Timing is everything.
We've seen that Elite Motorsport car is set up very well this weekend. Obviously the fastest 2 cars in qualifying being first and second. However, Jack Sherwood now showing his pace. Last lap 2:02.5 as opposed to the leaders at a 2:03.0. So he's half a second faster than anyone else on circuit, and he's making use of that pace by going up the inside of Max Maserati into Vale.
Yeah, straight away down the inside, not quite able to make that one stick. He'll go back for the cut back the inside of Club. It's very risky to do that. Be careful. Going up against, of course, the most consistent driver in the GB4 Championship this season, having 5 podiums. His lowest finish of Max Maserati is 6th place in the championship, so that's a pretty hefty total to go up against.
Yeah, Max Maserati missed the consistency as we've been seeing. Now the elite pair trying to work on getting their way up through the field. That is Alex Walker now at the inside of Megan Gilks. Is she going to concede that position? Yes, she is. Now they will move forward and use the pace they have to try and get Max Maserati, and that would then, if they get past, would then equal his worst position of the sequence.
Yeah, absolute send down the inside there, and I think Megan Gilks is going to try and come straight back past your joint championship leader, who's just not making the progress in this race that we would expect. Of course, a few bonus points. There is the big send down the inside, or rather trying to go around the outside. The inside line, though, holding on just at the moment for Alex Walker. 2 laps left to go. Well, someone was running wide in the distance. I think that might have been Elias Ardeston or maybe even Tom Mills. 2 laps to go. This would be historic for Romanek. Elias Ardeston has closed right in on Tom Mills. Look to the inside going into Club. That'd be a brave one. Not quite yet.
That was very close. Looks like Tom Mills is about to shut the door when there potentially was an overlap there, but they all got through safely. Again, a small mistake. Oh, there we go, up the inside.
Elias Ardeston looks, still not able to get through. Ardeston in the white, red, and then the yellow highlighted Fortec machine. Of course, the 21 there of Tom Mills, looking for another podium in the GB4 Championship in that grey and blue Kevin Mills racing car. But the harder they fight, I feel really bad for Tom Mills here, because I am looking at the back of this group at Megan Gilks and thinking that might be a position that belongs to Mills at the end of this race, considering the struggles. Here comes Elias Ardeston to the outside. It'd be a big send. We've seen plenty of them around the outside of Stowe this weekend. That is a big one, way too far wide, though. He's gone over the track limits. He's rejoined ahead, though. That is not a move that will stand, I can guarantee that.
Yeah, that looks like a move that probably won't stand. You're not allowed to leave the circuit and gain an advantage. It states that explicitly in the rules. So I would expect the stewards to be looking at that one. Tom Mills, I still feel really bad for him. I feel like he's been driving excellently. His defence has been great. He's been making that car sing as much as he can, but he's just not quite had the car underneath him in terms of straight line speed, which is a shame.
It really is, and like I say, it's going to be a long lap and a half from this point on. Obviously staring in his mirrors, there was a little look there from Jack Sherwood, who was eyeing up potentially going down the inside. The 6 of them in this train, Elias Ardeston at the front of it now. There is Jack Sherwood looking to the inside of Max Maserati as they head through the loop, out through Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. The Wellington Straight is 640 metres. It's a pretty long one into the not super heavy braking zone of Brooklands. Megan Gilks looking to take advantage of that, but the inside line, outside line, it's kind of 50-50 as to which one's going to come out on top. Max Maserati looking straight to the inside as they hit the braking zone for Brooklands, but the late apex working out for Tom Mills. Alex Walker and Megan Gilks do switch positions once more, and Megan Gilks back ahead. She is not letting go.
No, Megan Gilks has been showing in all the speed traps, top in pretty much every speed trap in race 2, and using that pace advantage in a straight line to get past Alex Walker, who has been the fastest driver this weekend with the pole position. So it shows how close this racing is, and Max Maserati got the inside of Tom Mills.
Yeah, Copse Corner this one, that's the straight line speed. It's going to be a little bit wide there from Tom Mills. Maybe he was pushed off a little bit. It was very, very tight on the exit. Rejoins the racetrack, but that straight line speed for the hill speed is going to keep him at bay. But look at Jack Sherwood coming through out of absolutely nowhere. Jack Sherwood coming straight through. Tom Mills is dropping to the back of the pack. Oh, he nearly just clips the side there of Megan Gilks. Alex Walker has not been able to take advantage of any of this, and I am 99% sure Jack Sherwood has gone up into 4th position looking for his best result of the season, and maybe not that far away from a podium as Alex Walker goes side by side with Tom Mills on the run down towards Stowe. Outside line, surely he's going to get this one, but he's just not brave enough to try anything right now, it seems.
The outside is a difficult move to get there unless you've got a big overlap, so he's going to look into the outside of Vale now. He can't see it, so we've got the 2 hill speed cars that took in the back round. Yep, he's forced Tom Mills defensive, which could potentially compromise his line out of club and then allow the undercut. Not quite this time.
Wow, I mean, what a race. What a weekend we've had of racing in the GB4 Championships. It's been absolutely electric. Elias Ardeston in 3rd position at the moment, looking for another podium right now. But obviously on the timing tower, it says Tom Mills in 4th. That shows how much he's lost over this lap, down to 7th position, potentially even 8th by the time we cross the line. Romanek, though, who's way ahead of this. The time has ticked down to 0, officially on the final lap of the race. He was already comfortably down the Wellington Straight and well in control. Way too wide there. That was Max Maserati who's going to lose out to his teammate. Is he going to do so? Yes, that is certainly the case. Gilks is through. That was a little bit of a brave moment, I mean, to throw it in through Aintree. Let's just watch, though, Romanek coming through. I'm sure we've got plenty of racing coming down into Brooklands. We'll see how that one unfolds. Oldfield out of the final corner. Welcome to the GB4 Championship, Lucas Romanek. I don't think this was on the cards this afternoon. What a drive. A win for him, the number 73 on debut in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Round number 9 goes to Lucas Romanek. Logan Hanna onto the podium for the first time in her career, and then Elias Ardeston once again just beating out Jack Sherwood. There was not much between them. Look at that, just over a 10th. Gilks in 5th, just ahead of her teammate Maserati. Tom Mills drops down to 7th, but still, despite that car, manages to keep Alex Walker at bay.
He's done very well to keep Alex Walker at bay on that last lap. Walker will be disappointed with that. He was right up with Sherwood, and Sherwood just managed to make a bit more progress, being the first car of the elite cars, and again, that made a big difference. He's what, 3 or 4 places ahead at the end there. I'd say great drive from Jack Sherwood. Lucas Romanek, to be honest, it has to be my driver of the race. He drove that race like he'd been in the championship for years, and a winner on debut. Very, very impressive.
Honestly, amazing. Obviously, we had the 2 retirements as well in the form of Waberski and, of course, of our championship leader, Nicholas Taylor. Either way, let's focus on the race results at hand. Lucas Romanek taking his first victory in only his 3rd race in the GB4 Championship. Logan Hanna directly behind with Elias Ardeston on the podium. Obviously, another podium for Elias Ardeston. Great result from Jack Sherwood after a weekend of great pace. 4th place for him. Obviously was eyeing up his first podium of the season, but still takes his best result of the season. Megan Gilks in 5th place, just ahead of her teammate Maserati. Then Mills, I'm going to say I think he's done a great job this weekend with a car that is quite clearly struggling. Alex Walker behind in 8th place, with Christian Leicester inside the top 10 with a 9th place finish from 13th on the grid. The final couple of finishes, of course, Chloe Grant down there. It was Jessica Edgar in 10th place, Jabal Bursky and Nicholas Taylor, both retirements from the race. I think they're both going to be pretty disappointed with that, but
Nick,
4 into 1 doesn't go.
Absolutely, Nicholas Taylor will be absolutely gutted with that. It's one of those situations, first lap, lots of cars coming together. He's very unlucky to be the one that was spat out there. Everyone else continued. So Nicholas Taylor, it's to and fro here. Alex Walker, DNF race 2. Nicholas Taylor, DNF race 3. We could be looking close at Max Maserati just finishing every race. It's going to look good. He's going to be not far off in the championship now.
Absolutely. Obviously losing that extra position in that race will just cost Maserati just a little bit. No podium in this race. And also I did say, and I feel bad now for saying this statistic about Weberski. I did say before we went into the race, I was like, Weberski's not getting a podium in this because he's done no podium, no podium. He's alternated between finishing on the podium and not. This one's slightly different though in the form of a retirement, so it's a bit of a rough one, but it does still hold true. Stats and stuff.
So it looks like he's going to be on the podium at the first race of the next round.
Yeah, exactly. Donington Park is going to get 2 podiums, clearly, as we'll see them roll into the box. Could you imagine, right? Great for Logan Hannah to be on the podium. Great for Elias Ardiston to be on the podium. But could you imagine being like, oh, do you know, I'm going to go race in GB4 this weekend? And then suddenly it's like, oh, I'm a race winner in GB4 this weekend. This is all right. I want to do more of this.
Yeah, exactly. Lucas Romano, I'm sure he'll be very, very pleased with that. There we go. Look at how much that means to him. And I'm sure the Oldfield Motorsport team will be absolutely over the moon with that. Logan Hannah drove an excellent race.
So good.
So far, she's not really, when she's at the back, she hasn't showed the pace, but in that race, she completely held her own. Her lap times were well up there. Her fastest lap, 2:02.9, only 4/10 off the fastest lap of the race, which is the closest I believe she's been by quite some margin. So obviously needs to be at that front end to then follow the cars in front. Maybe they showed her a couple of different lines that she's maybe not taken or really forced her on, but really strong showing. Hopefully she can carry that on for the rest of the season.
Well, I will say, based on the results, I know obviously we'll see more and we'll hear more as the weekend progresses. Based on the, again, don't trust the commentators, Matt, Alex Walker is back in the lead of the championship. No surprise, of course, because of the actual finish that he managed to do. Points on the board, a couple from gaining positions as well. It's 4 in total because he finished in 8th place and started from 12th. Maserati is up to 2nd in the championship with 191 points, 13 off of the race lead, but he's now ahead, though, of Nicholas Taylor after that finish. Let's see what's happening down with our podium finishers. Of course, John Jackson's with them.
Okay, well, I'm here after that exhilarating race. We saw a great race in the second race earlier on today, the third race of the weekend, even more impressive perhaps. And Lucas Romanek, it's the 3rd race you've had in this new GB4 car on your first race weekend, and you absolutely stormed to victory there. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel amazing. Yeah, I can't believe it. It's just got the setup done for the last race, and yeah, obviously got lucky with everyone battling, but yeah, I'll take it as a win. So yeah.
And you spent a lot of time behind Logan Hannah there, and you really had to pick your moment.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think the dirt, played a big factor in that. But yeah, I just managed to make her force her into a mistake, and then get her round copped. Sorry.
Well, look, it was an impressive performance, Lucas, and congratulations. Your first race weekend and your first race win. We'll let you get to celebrate with the Oldfield team in just a second. We're going to find Logan Hannah, who I've seen already is in floods of tears. Whether or not she wants to talk to me, I don't know. I'm sure she will. Well done.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Logan Hannah, 2nd place. Your first podium, the first podium for Graham Brunton Racing with Laser Tools this weekend. And
yeah.
I mean, you were in first for half the race, and you managed to hold your own there. That was so impressive.
Yeah, after the last, I guess, 3 rounds that we've had, it's nice that it's finally came together. With going into qualifying with essentially a car without a turbo to this is a fantastic turnaround for a weekend. I can't thank the team enough for everything that they've done.
And you managed to hold Lucas off for a long time there. And was it the case of you thought that maybe you didn't quite have the pace and you were just trying to stay on the podium, or were you still fighting for that first place all the way?
Well, I had the pace enough to catch him back, so I did probably have the pace to win. But I made a mistake coming out of Beckett's, I think it was, and he got the run on me. And I tried to defend it, and then I just thought, you know what, we're here, there's nobody behind me, and I just thought we'll both push, and we built a gap. So
incredibly impressive. The first podium for Graham Brunton Racing with Laser Tools. Logan Hannah, 2nd place. Congratulations. We'll let you celebrate more with your team now. We'll grab a quick word with Elias Ardiston with Fortec. Obviously, maybe not the Fortec car that we were expecting to see on the podium, with Nicholas Taylor doing so well this weekend, winning the first 2 races. Just have a quick chat with Elias, chatting there with Lucas. Elias, that was a fun race, very eventful.
Yeah, it was a very good race. I mean, it's a bit shame that I didn't get past Mills at the first attempt, because then I would have probably going to aim for the win. The gap was just too big in the end. But Fortec is giving me an amazing car. We were leading the team championship just before this race. I don't know how it is now, but there's an overall amazing team and a very happy day to end it with a stall this morning and then end it in a good way is also always nice. But yeah, I'm happy with the race overall, and nice to see some pictures being shown on camera as well with the battling.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it must be nice after seeing Nicholas winning those first 2 races, maybe sort of, you know, wishing that was you, to have a bit of success to end the weekend.
Yeah, it's always good having a yardstick. I mean, Nicholas is very good. There's no doubt about that. He's won twice now, and it's the only reverse where he didn't win. So there's no doubt in my mind he's a very good driver. But yes, now we had to utilize, because I was the one that had the bad position to take some good points, and now we did. So keep pushing forward with Fortec, and they're overall very good.
Excellent. Elias Setterson, we'll let you get to the podium now. Elias Setterson there with Fortec coming third. Another incredible race in the GB4 Championship. We'll hand over to Lewis McGlade now, who's going to talk you through the podium.
Indeed, I will. Curious to catch up, obviously, with Ireland thereafter. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what race control will say about that move. Of course, it was around the outside of Stowe. It exceeded track limits. It blew over them a little bit, and then he finished on the podium with a third place finish. Kind of wonder if it might promote Jack Sherwood. Obviously, I don't want to speak on behalf of race control. That is their decision to make. But either way, speaking of the positives from the weekend, Jack Sherwood, personal best finish in the season. 3 top 5s across the round here. He was actually the only driver to have finished in the top 5 in all 3 races. Of course, we won't see him on the podium here, because we're going to see our podium from the race. And again, a popular podium it'll be. Elias Ardeston taking another podium. It's the first time we'll see him on the podium since Setterson. He was on the podium in that 3rd race of the season, where he came behind the 2 Hill Speed cars of Max Maserati and Megan Gilks. There he is, jumping on to the 3rd step of the podium. A very first podium for not only Logan Hannah, but of course for the Graham Brunton Racing squad. A great drive from her. And then a first victory, a first podium for Lucas Romanek and the Oldfield Motorsports team, jumping in to the GB4 Championship here at Silverstone. Their first round. And I've got to say, that is incredibly impressive. 56 points, obviously, right towards the back, as Jonathan Palmer hands out the trophies. I mean, what an impressive drive. Going into this weekend, I think we were all kind of expecting Nicholas Taylor, Alex Walker to run the show, as they did realistically in the first couple of races. Who was going to take that 3rd victory? You'd all look towards the likes of Maserati, to the likes of Tom Mills, as we were doing. Kind of ruled out the likelihood that it could be someone completely different. Lucas Romanek, your winner of round number 9 in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, and a very, very well-deserved victory. Of course, we've passed the 1/3 point of the season as well. Of course, it's 24 races in the championship this year. So with that point, we've completed 9 of them. Once we passed the 8th round, that was, of course, the 1/3 point complete in the season, where we had that joint championship lead. I think it's completely open. None of the drivers on the podium here are the ones that we're speaking of really in the championship, but Alex Walker, Maserati, Nicholas Taylor, they're all really up there, but not too far behind. Roberski and Elias Ardeston, they aren't that far behind. Roberski has 168 points, so is 20 behind Nicholas Taylor. Yes, a fair way back from the champion lead, about 40-odd points for the champion lead. Elias Ardeston, though, after that podium, taking a bit of advantage. If he finds some pace in that Fortec car, finds a bit of consistency, I genuinely wouldn't rule him out. 161 points plays Alex Walker's 204 at the moment, so 43 points behind, with so much left to go in the season, so many races up for grabs. Just do not know what is possible. Still 15 left to go. Very impressive indeed. Let's go then to the paddock. John Jackson is with his drive.
And I'm here just below the podium now with the team principal, team owner of Fortec, Richard Dutton. It's been a very good weekend for you, even with Nicholas Taylor not finishing that last race.
Yeah, it has. You hit 2 wins, and at least had a podium there, which is good for him. Yeah, it's been a good weekend. Very good.
In terms of that incident with Nicholas Taylor, I mean, did you see it? Have you got any thoughts on it immediately?
Well, the fall into that corner was never going to work, and he was meat in the sandwich, really. Yeah, he needs to just maybe calm down a bit and sit back a bit, and he just tries a bit too hard at the moment, but he has no karting experience and no real racing experience, so he's done a great job for the little experience he's got.
Now I'm hearing in my ear, and we did see this on the coverage, Elias did go wide, which I think gained him a position, so there could be a penalty coming his way possibly. Did you see that incident as well?
I did see that, but I think that he was taking avoiding action, I think it was avoiding a collision most probably. But let's hope that he can keep his third place.
We'll wait and see. But even if that was the case, it's still been a very successful weekend for Fortec, and you'll take that into the next weekend.
Absolutely, it's been a great weekend and it's fantastic racing. We've seen some really good racing all weekend, so it's all good.
Absolutely, and obviously we still have the GB3 Championship, the last race of the weekend coming up. So Richard, we'll let you go and get ready for that, and we'll bring that race in just a while as well. We're going to just have a little chat with Jonathan Palmer, the Chief Executive of MSV. We've caught up with you at every race weekend so far, and I have to say, this GB4 Championship today has been exceptional.
The racing was fantastic, wasn't it, John? And I must say, I was literally on the edge of, well, I wasn't even sitting, so I can't say the edge of my seat. It was the most amazing race, and you just did not know what was going to happen until the flag fell, did you? But great job from Lucas. First weekend here, new team with Oldfield, and I'm just so thrilled for him. And I have to say for Logan, I mean, she drove beautifully. Being on pole and the reverse grid is obviously, it's a good start. But I mean, she maintained it and defended. She defended vigorously and then hung on. I mean, Lucas was only needed to make a small mistake, and she was going to be right there.
It's absolutely incredible, and she said there just in our interview, given their sort of recent results and not being where they want to be there and hold her own was obviously very overwhelming, as we saw with her getting quite emotional. Just finally, before we hand over, because we've got the GB3 race coming up very soon, for Lucas Romanek to come into this and in his third race win the race in a team that hasn't tested much in this new GB4 car, I mean that's a pretty exceptional achievement, isn't it, for the whole team?
Well, it is for the whole team, and I think also the championship actually. It's certainly going to inspire other people to think that people can come in with a new team and a new driver, and if you can do a good job with the format of the race weekends, you get a chance to prove what you can do. Okay, it was a reverse grid race, but nevertheless, I mean, Lucas held his own, and I'm sure that'll give him a load of confidence, and the team. So when they go into the next rounds at Donington, they'll be up to chasing a lot more points.
Absolutely will. And quickly, Jonathan, we discussed something at Setterson which we haven't talked about since, and that was a me versus you race. Is that still on the cards before the end of the season?
Well, have we decided what kind of vehicle it was going to be in?
I was told it could be anything from a dumper truck all the way up to an Arctic lorry.
I feel I should probably give you the opportunity of choosing our weapons, actually, John. Okay. You do that. Have you got something in mind?
I'll have a little think and I'll talk to you at Donington about this.
Let's do that. Yeah, we'll keep this one going for a bit. You choose what you want to do, and I'll be up for it.
Okay, right. Jonathan Palmer makes a return to the racetrack. Jonathan, thank you very much for chatting to me now. We'll let you get on and enjoy that GB3 race that's coming up, and I'm going to bring Piers Pryor in here, who's found someone. I mean, please introduce yourself, sir. From Oldfield. You must be pretty happy right now.
Yeah, debut weekend in GB4. It was a bit of a late start for us for 22. Really late decision to make this weekend happen. It was like Tuesday morning we got the phone call, we made a few things happen. Huge thanks to so many people, loads of people behind the scenes at MSV and GB4, a load of team sponsors, family, friends. So Tuesday morning this wasn't happening, and then here we are, race winners on Sunday afternoon, so it's mega. And really pleased for Lucas on his first go. And
we spoke to Lucas earlier, and he's obviously continuing in another championship as well. Will he continue in the GB4 Championship?
We certainly want to do a few more rounds. We've got some longer term plans to try and compete in GB4 next season for the full year. This was going to help get our foot on the ladder, I think, for next year. Certainly want to do another round at least with Lucas this year, and get the car out with a few more drivers later in the year. Donington's the next round. That's our local circuit. We're only 20 minutes away, so yeah, I'd like to have a load of friends and break the family down for that one. That'd be really good.
All right, we'll see you there. What was your name?
James.
James from Oldfield. I mean, you're going to be celebrating it tonight, I'm sure. Best of luck getting back there, and maybe opening a soft drink, or maybe some. We've seen some sparkling wine without any kind of alcohol in it as well. Piers, would you like to discuss some of the racing action we saw there? I mean, wheel to wheel. We first of all got to talk about Nicholas Taylor.
Gutting for him, honestly. That race was crazy. It was like 4 wide into Vale there, and unfortunately Nicholas Taylor just flipped out of the race and broken front wing, race over. So he'll be hugely disappointed. Lost his his joint championship lead, but he will be feeling what Alex Walker was feeling in race 2 when he had the DNF when they clashed earlier on. So drama throughout the championship. We thought at the start of the round, Alex Walker, he's got the championship lead, he's going to be away with this, and it's going to be hard for anyone to catch. Come end of race 2, he was then equal first place, so they're all caught up, and now Max Maserati's in second place. It showed how important consistency is and how much it pays to just be there every single race.
No, I think we're going to see the battle between Alex Walker and Nicholas Taylor go on as the season goes on, but we saw him battling today with Jack Sherwood. That was nice to see the elite cars racing together there, but the Hill Speed cars also getting involved with them there. We saw Megan overtaking Max, overtaking Jack, overtaking Max, and going all over the place. And Max Maserati, apparently I've been told in my ear, was just lingering in the background. He's a man. He's a man. I don't know if he's there. He's a man that. Oh, hang on a minute. Is he coming? Here he is. Let's bring him over. I mean, I said that, Max Maserati. I was just saying, Max, that you're a guy that likes to be interviewed, and you were lingering in the background. They were telling me in my ear. That race was quite exciting. You were fighting with Jack, you were fighting with Megan. At one point, we thought you'd maybe get third, and then it maybe didn't end where you wanted to end.
No, I gave it everything for that podium. Like, I really did. I was a bit, when I went up the inside of Mills into Cops, I was like, oh, don't let this be like a Hamilton Verstappen moment. But yeah, I gave it everything for that. Unfortunately for us, like as it normally goes in motorsport, we're at that point where we're running out of budget, so it's going to be really hard to make the next round. So, but I'm going to try my hardest, like I do every time when I go on track, to get in the sponsors so we can keep racing. But if there's anyone out there who wants to chip in with the support,
you can talk into the camera now, and people have seen, the exciting driving that both you and Megan do, and you're certainly an aggressive driver, and you want to be up there. I mean, if anyone's watching right now and you want to help continue, then absolutely, Hill Speed Racing and Max Maserati, get in touch.
Well, I say we're second as well in the championship now, and we're so close to Alex. I think we can do it with the way we've been so consistent. So if we get 1 or 2 people on board, I think we can really get this championship.
Now, we've been having discussions about Alex Walker versus Nicholas Taylor, and it's seeming like they are, at the moment, battling for the championship. But a lot of people have been saying, and I've seen messages on social media, that you are kind of the outside, the dark horse, as it were, to maybe, watch them battling away. But your consistency, if you can continue racing, that's something that may see it towards the end of the season. You could pit them to the title.
Well, yeah, I'd hope so. And then the next track would be Donington, which is where I got my podium in British F3, which is now GB3. So that's a track that we know I'm strong at, like Silverstone. So it's another track that we're going to that I'm strong at. And if we can just keep up, as I say, like what we've been doing is just banking podium, points. Eventually that win's going to come. But yeah. Hopefully we can get out and do that.
All right, well, Max, I've got to let you go. We've got the GB3 race coming in just a second. But first of all, I've got to let you know, Nicholas Taylor, right? Have you seen Nicholas Taylor's brother, Chris?
Yeah.
Right, he's a very cool guy as well. He's stolen your look.
Has he?
He's rocking the aviators on the grid there, right? And I did say to him, "Have you been watching Max? Are you trying to take some style tips?" He denied it. He said it was his style. Who originated this style of the aviators?
No, how old is he? I think I'm a bit older, aren't I, than Nick's brother?
I think he's about 24, actually.
Oh. I'm still going to say me. There's a story about him crashing on a bike, just to take away a bit of his coolness.
Is that a story we can have on the light with your mind?
I think so. He had, from what I heard from Nick the other day when we were doing the photo shoot, he went out on Nick's bike, and Nick's bike doesn't have any brakes, so he just went flying into the gravel trap with no brakes.
Oh,
so yeah,
so we can see why Nicholas is racing and he's not. Okay, well, he stole your look, but he's not stole your talents. Max Maserati with Hill Speed Racing. I mean, keep this man on the grid. He's the most entertaining man that we watch here in GB4. Congratulations on a successful weekend with Hill Speed, and we'll chat to you again very, very soon. All right, nice one. Are we going to bring Piers back in? Have we got time to bring Piers back in? One more question. We talked about how we had an all-female front row with Graham Brunton Racing with Laser Tours. Chloe Grant in the end, I think she maybe finished towards. Maybe was a key factor there, because obviously Logan managed to keep pace in presumably this sort of the car with the same setup.
Yeah, it seems that of the two at the Graham Brunton Racing team, Logan has been the faster of the two. She's had more experience, obviously doing a bit more testing or a bit more racing. Chloe Grant's straight out of this, I think straight out of Saxos or something like that, so it's her first proper fast racing car. She's still getting used to it, still finding her feet. And that's what this championship's about. You've got the drivers that are right there, right at the sharp end, banging in lap after lap. And then Chloe obviously is an example of a couple of the drivers that are working their way up, getting the experience. So then maybe this is their first learning year, come back next year and try and get some really solid results. But also amazing to see Logan Hannah on the podium there. She really stepped it up in that race. Second place. Also, it's excellent to see that the diversity in this championship, with obviously 2 or 3 females now and one on the podium. So great to see, hopefully more to come from those two.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Piers Pryor. Our co-commentator. We'll hear more from Piers in just a second, because that's not it. We have one more race this weekend. It's the final race of the GB3 Championship. It is also a reverse grid, so we'll see what happens when we bring you that coverage in about 30 seconds time. Here we are then, the final race of the weekend. It's the reverse grid race in GB3. Already this weekend we've seen one driver and one team in particular storming it so far, and that is Elite Motorsports. Tom Leben in particular getting onto the podium in that first race, getting his first race victory in the second race. If he's going to do it in this race, much like Nicholas Taylor in GB4, he is going to need to storm through the field and make up a lot of places as he will start near the back of the grid. Let's see though how Tom Leben took his first race victory in GB3. This was the first race of the day earlier at Silverstone.
Highlights then for round number 5 of the GB3 Championship as we were underway once again at Silverstone. A good launch from the top 4 as they would all hold position on the run through turn 1. Voisin pushed it out a little bit wide there as Mackenzie Cresswell would have a decent launch on the inside, remaining within the top 10. Side by side in the run down towards Magnus Beckett and Chapel, and it was Tom Leben with a great move, great drive off of Copse, and he would take the lead. There's Elite Motorsports number 34. Ahead of him, of course, was Joel Granfors, and then it was Luke Browning. Behind that, Roberto Ferrer under a bit of pressure from his teammate Callum Voisin. A touch of contact between the two as they would run through the Vale chicane, and a bit of smoke coming out of the rear end of Mackenzie Cresswell as they would struggle their way through the first lap of proceedings. The two Carlins would continue to battle it out. Roberto Ferrer ahead of Callum Voisin as they would run through Abbey once again. Ferrer holding position at least for now. The two would switch a couple of times throughout the running of the race. Mackenzie Cresswell with a couple of issues on his front wing, already broken at this point, and Matthew Rees sends it around the outside to gain the position. Of course, Mackenzie Cresswell would struggle to keep the front end of the car on the track, just understeering all over the place courtesy of that broken wing. He'd come into the pit lane and would unfortunately retire from the race. He was under pressure from John Bennett as well, as everyone was trying to piece their way past the Chris Dittman racing car. Again, wide, struggling, constantly just trying to keep it on the track, but it was not easy. John Bennett up inside the top 10. Down the order though, Nick Gilks was again putting on a bit of a show as he would pass Cian Shields with a great dive down into Stowe corner. The two would battle it out time and time again throughout the running of the 10-lap race. James Headley would battle it out with Roberto Ferreira late on in the running. A bit of a lock-up on the front left as the two would battle it out way over the track limits. Roberto Ferreira would go, just keeping out of James Headley's way, would get the switch back and get underneath on the run down towards Abbey. The two would stay side by side. A bit of a squeeze from James Headley to try and keep Ferreira at bay. However, running through Abbey corner, the two would squeeze each other off, and that was where Tom Leben would cross the line as the victor of the race. His first win in the championship and the first win for Elite Motorsports in GB3 in 2022.
Now the good thing about the GB3 Championship is that drivers come to this championship with all kinds of experience. You know, you've got drivers like Luke Browning who've driven for many, many years now, and they've won championships, they've won races. And then you've got drivers who very rarely, but sometimes, come straight from karting, straight into the GB3 car. And Cian Shields is with me here for High Tech, and you've done that. When was your last race in karts?
We finished up karts in September was our last race, and then straight after we finished karting we came straight into GB3 testing.
So you come straight from a car at the age of what, you were 16 at the time,
yeah. And
now you're driving a GB3 car around one of the most iconic tracks in the world. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different. But I really enjoy it. It's a good car to drive, and then especially now it's got more aero as well, so it's even bigger jump than what we assumed in the first place. But it's good. It's not something that we can't tackle, so look forward to the season.
What's the biggest difference, obviously coming from karting? A lot of the drivers are saying that just the amount of downforce.
Yeah, that's the biggest bit, and then just obviously tyre management, and then the braking as well. It's just there's not really much that's the same, and from karting to this, it's like a total new field. So
a whole new skill. A whole new skill. And now, what are your hopes for the season in terms of, you're making progress? You're starting out and you're getting used to the car. Every time you get in the car, you're getting used to it, as you say, with that sort of lack of experience. Where are you hoping to be come the end of the season?
I'm definitely hoping to have a couple top 5 finishes by the end of the season and be up there in the qualifying, be on the pace. So hopefully by the end of the season or midway through we're where we want to be.
And the reverse race grid on Sunday tomorrow, that must be, I'm going to do that bit again. And the reverse race grid later today, that must be somewhere where you think you've got a chance of getting some good points.
Yeah, P2 is starting that, so we'll try and maximise our result in that and to see where we end up.
All right, Cian, well, best of luck, and we'll catch up with you later in the season.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at the venue then. We are racing this weekend as we head to Northamptonshire, to one of the most legendary circuits in the United Kingdom. It is of course Silverstone, a fantastic venue for any style of racing. If it can be raced, it will be raced around here. A circuit which opened back in 1948. So much history around here. Of course, one of those circuits that was built for an old-fashioned RAF airfield. The length of 3.6 miles, roughly 5.9 kilometres, with so many twists and turns over the three sectors. Iconic is a word which would be associated with such a venue. Over the 18 corners, of course, fantastic ones like Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, overtaking opportunities into the likes of Copse and Stowe with their high-speed commitment, and then, of course, that fantastic section that was built back in the early 2010s where you go through farm, into village, into the loop, and of course that entrance into Brooklands, absolutely superb. And now we'll go to Piers for a lap around Silverstone.
And here we ride with Javier Segura on a flying lap around here at Silverstone Circuit. Completely flat and qualifying to turn 1 at Copse here. Mind the track limits on the exit because they will delete your time. Now coming to the world famous Maggots Beckett section. Keep it left up here on the curve to open up the right to allow the speed through the middle of the Maggots and Beckett section. Keep it left for the exit onto Hanger Straight. Mind the curve because it can unsettle the car. Now we've got a moment down the 780 metre straight towards Copse Corner. Take a couple of deep breaths. Think about how fast we're going to go through the next corner. This is obviously a main overtaking opportunity during the races. So down just 1 gear here, barely rubbing the brakes. Apex speed of 100 miles an hour, 5th gear. Again, watching track limits on the exit because they will penalise for abuse there. Now at a big braking point of the circuit here, into Vale. Nice and tight on that curb. Keep it left for the exit of Club as the exit drops away. Mind the oversteer and obviously then past the main wing building. Another overtaking opportunity in the race coming up here. We're going to be completely flat through Abbey and Farm here. 140 miles an hour top speed. Just open the steering to keep the speed through the car and then concentrate on that wide open braking for the village section. Awkward here in the car, can sometimes get a bit of over rotation. Don't need to use all the circuit for the loop. Traction is very, very important here, so making sure we get a great exit. Mind the curb because it can pull you off the circuit there. Now the long run down into the final section, the Brooklands, under the bridge. Keeping it right, you'll notice that he takes 2 wheels on the curb to open up the entry, braking nice and softly just after the board. Watch the rear as we touch the curb slightly off camber here and then fire it into the final corner at Luffield. Again, traction very important here. Don't run wide, the gravel's right up by the exit, and then the final run to the straight. And that is our lap of Silverstone Circuit. What a lap it is, and a great opportunity to show the speed of these cars.
Well, I'm here now with one of the most consistent drivers of the weekend so far, but just missing out on the podium both times, Max Setterson from Douglas Motorsport. 2 4th-place finishes. That's still a good weekend for you, considering where you've been in the previous meetings.
Yeah, very solid, considering what happened at the last round at Oulton. It was kind of a struggle for me, starting with qualifying and then a DNF in race 1 and kind of just running around mid-pack for the rest of the races. So yeah, it's a big step forward. Pretty decent job in qualifying to get 6th and 4th for the 2 races, and yeah, decent race yesterday, moving up 2 spots, and today was a bit boring of a race for me, but yeah, solid. Just stayed in 4th and tried to manage the tires, so yeah, good progress.
In terms of the car, how's the car feeling this weekend?
Yeah, very good. I mean, it's on point. I think we're not missing on the car. Just need a bit more performance for myself. I mean, very new to this all still, so I think I still have more potential, which is good to know, and yeah, we'll just try to keep learning.
And in the reverse race, you're starting pretty far back, but are you confident you'll make it some places?
I think here there's quite a bit of opportunity on the first lap because it's easy to get stacked up before a long straight. So if you time that well, I think you could get a few. So yeah, hopefully just try to move forward and make my way through.
Now this is your first race at Silverstone, and obviously growing up in the United States, you probably heard a lot about it, like we hear a lot about IndyCar. What were your first impressions driving this GB3 car around this track?
Yeah, first time on the full GP circuit. I did quite a bit on the national circuit last year in Formula Ford, but yeah, full GP circuit in these cars, it's really fast, like through Sector 1, kind of Copse and Maggots Beckett's. It's pretty cool. It's very high commitment, which is kind of the sector I'm struggling in, but it's obviously the hardest one, but yeah, progressing, so yeah, a lot of fun.
Okay, Max, thank you very much, and best of luck in that final race.
Thank you.
There we go, and that is Max Setterson's car here towards the back of the grid on this reverse grid race. Nice to hear from him. Might notice he's got a bit of sponsorship there on the front there for the old cap, sat in a prime position there. But nice to see, nice to have a chat with Max Setterson earlier and see how he's feeling. Obviously, we haven't quite seen the performance to get him onto the podium just yet. It's going to be a tough order if he's going to get on the podium in this race. Going, well, he's some way down the back of the grid, as it is in this reverse grid race. Now we can see some of the cars around. We saw in that last race, James Headley in Elite Motorsports, battling the whole way. Very, very good weekend for Elite Motorsports. Already this weekend, it'd be interesting to see what we can see from James Headley. If we just spin round here, just a couple of places, in fact one place before him on the grid is John Bennett. John Bennett came into this weekend third in the championship, so he's going to be wanting to get past some of the cars in front, hopefully make up some points to end this weekend well and keep in the race there, as he's been one of the more consistent drivers in the GB3 Championship. We can look a bit further back there, and that's where we're seeing the drivers that we've spoken about quite a lot today and across this weekend. The championship leader, Luke Browning, in the high-tech in the silver car, just, well, he's quite a way back now, you might not be able to see. And Tom Leben is starting pretty much second last in the Elite Motorsports car. That's the one I discussed earlier with you. That has the purple nose cone. So if you were looking out for Tom Leben, he won that second race for Elite Motorsports. Purple nose cone. I don't know if we'll have a chat. Maybe we'll see who's around. It's a tricky one, the end of the weekend. A lot of people are, well, a lot of the mechanics, their work's kind of done now. The cars are obviously, you know, they're ready here, so their work is done, and unless they need to change something during the race, but it's quite unlikely. Brandon Oxley, another driver that I feel like we should have seen more from so far, but we've not quite seen the performance. He drove really well at Alton Park, and AP Piers Pryor, our co-commentator, very impressed with one of the moves he put on in one of those races at Alton Park. He's driving Chris Dittman Racing, very, very striking car here, red, yellow and black. You'll be able to see them out on the track. See some of his mechanics in the background. I think you know, now they've done the thumbs up, we're going to have to come and speak to, I mean, you did the thumbs up, which means come over. What's your name?
My name's Joe.
And what's your role here at Chris Dittman?
Oh, well, I'm in charge of running this car.
Okay, I've just been chatting about Brandon Oxley so far. We're not seeing the performance that we maybe thought we would at the start of the season. And how far away is that performance to get him onto the podium?
Oh, well, I'm afraid I just bolt this thing together. That's an engineer's question, that, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, who would you like me to direct that question to?
Oh, we can go speak to the boss over there if you want to.
Oh, do you think that's a good suggestion? All right, let's go and chat to him. I've got to ask you a question. I was just discussing with your colleague here how long it's going to be before Brandon Oxley gets onto the podium. You know, he's certainly got the talent, and you know, could it be today?
Could be. So 20 minutes. See what we can do from here. But got the potential to be it. Got some good pace. This race, anything can happen from reverse grid. So yeah, should be exciting.
In terms of the race strategy for drivers who are sort of midfield here, is it a case of getting ahead straight away, or is it maybe waiting for those drivers who are further forward, who aren't quite as fast, to maybe slip up?
I think a little bit. I think this race is difficult because people at the front save their good tyres, so it's a bit of a mix and match. I think it's all about taking opportunities when they come. You know, get a good start, take as many places as you can in the first few laps when people are squabbling, but more importantly, stay out of trouble. You know, and be there at the end. And
we saw in the last race, Mackenzie Creswell didn't entirely have a great race there, having the front knocked off his car. Is he feeling confident going into this race? The car is 100% and fixed up now?
Oh yes, all fixed up. Yeah, the encouraging thing, he had a good pace in that race. It was just unfortunate. We came together with another driver, which was more his fault, but it's one of those things, that's racing. So yeah, the encouraging thing, he had good pace, so we can hopefully bring that into this one.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'm sorry I jumped in there, but I mean, you were highly recommended by one of your team there. Thanks very much, Chris Dittman Racing here on the grid. Let's move slightly forward here. We've got Alex Connor, who we heard from earlier in the weekend, doing okay for Arden Motorsport. He's not too far away from the front there, so he's going to be hoping he can stay in and around here. Let's have a look here. Who else have we got around? Mikael Grundvig, I mean, we mentioned him before. One of the drivers racing with charities. We've got Kids Aid on board there on side of the Danes car. Very important to a lot of these drivers, their sponsors and people they represent. We spoke to Elias Ardestam earlier with Racing for Cancer. He's helping raise awareness and raise money for children back home in his native of Sweden, raising money for them. And Mikael Grundvig, nice to see him supporting a charity as well. Zach Taylor as well with Vortec. Again, not been Zach Taylor's day just yet. I'm sure that time will come. discussed things with him earlier, and it's been an exceptional weekend, as we heard from Richard Dutton, the boss of Fortec. So he's near the front here. He's in P5. So you've got to think that Zach Taylor is one of those drivers that could get his first sort of solid result of the championship so far. Nick Gilkes, we spoke to earlier on. He was supporting his sister Megan Gilkes there, who we saw in that race. Very unlucky, maybe not to get in contention for a podium. Ended up finishing a little bit further down, but hill speed racing we've already discussed at great length. You've heard from Max Maserati already. A very chilled out team, and this is, it's so different. We've got Cian Shields here, who we just heard from before, who was discussing his route from karting straight into these exceptionally fast cars compared to karting. He's driving for Hi-Tech, a team with lots and lots of people around the drivers. Hill speed, big team as well, but just different atmospheres in the garages that I notice here. And yeah, we've got an exceptional helmet here for Cian Shields. We probably need to talk to him about his helmet. In fact, we'll do a little chat with some of the other drivers about their helmets, because that is one of the more snazzy ones. Some people like a solid design, as you see with Nick Gilkes here, just a solid black helmet before. Cian Shields likes to keep it jazzy. You'll be able to hear the cars firing up in here. And now David Morales, very interesting to talk about David. Not very well, actually, at the end of last week, Thursday and Friday, a trip to hospital to make sure he was all right. But that set him back slightly. He didn't get many laps around this track at Silverstone, which is probably why he didn't qualify so well. But the good thing about this reverse grid race is that if you don't qualify so well, you do get a chance in this final race of the weekend. And David's certainly going to be hoping, starting on pole position, he can maintain that, and he can hopefully maybe stay up there in the points as the end of the race carries on. Now the race that's on just before now is just finishing off, so we'll be heading to the action in just a second. We may be able to grab some more people. I wonder if we've got more time to grab some more people. I mean, the cars have started, but there are still cars on tracks. Let's have a look. I'm going to walk up here. Let's have a look. I don't know who we've got. We've got Ollie Dutton from Fortec, who we've spoken to before. Very keen to see how Zach Taylor's going to get on. Looks like he's paying him a lot of attention here. It'd be nice to get some family and friends. We were speaking to some of the families before in the GB4 race, and it's always nice to get the insight as to how the families support the drivers, because as you've seen, some of them are in and around, and some of them just watch on from afar. And you see a lot of dads and parents and siblings, brothers and sisters, who are always there just to, I think, keep the drivers calm. Really, you forget that some of these drivers are quite young, so for them, it's nice to be, it's nice to be relaxed, and it's nice to be, just kept as normal as possible, considering you're about to drive a car at an average speed of over 100 miles an hour. It looks like the cars are ready to leave, so we're just going to head further forward to the grid here, because we want to see the cars leaving as they go out on this final race of the weekend. If you've missed any of the races so far, perhaps you're just joining us for this final GB3 race, maybe you've had a really busy weekend, maybe it's been sunny where you are and you've just been in the garden, that's absolutely fine. You can watch back all of the races that we have brought you live so far. They are available on the MSV stream, and of course make sure you follow GB3 and GB4 Championship on social media as well. Loads of clips, loads of great photos, and if you've picked out a favourite driver, perhaps you're new to watching this championship, you've got a favourite driver, make sure you follow them on social media as well. I know they'll appreciate your support as well. Now we can see behind the medical car, a lot going on here actually, because as much as these cars are driven with as much safety as possible, they do still have other cars that are supporting, and you have a medical car. We can just see, it looks like a recovery vehicle coming out now, so I don't know whether one of the cars in the race before has gone off. Looks like there are some yellow flags around the track, so that might actually delay these cars going out slightly. One of those things where we have to play things by ear. I can see, yeah, we go. Yeah, there is the truck going out now, so obviously someone's gone off. I tell you what, let's have the standings from Lewis McGlade, and we'll get the latest on when these cars will be going out.
We certainly will, and again, fascinating it is in the championship standings. Guess who's going to be leading? Of course, the double race winner last time out at Holton Park, with 2 podiums here this round as well. Luke Browning tops the standings on 123 points. Yoel Granfors in second position after the victory earlier on here in Silverstone. He's taken 3 podiums this season, with Roberto Faria, who's not had the greatest rounds, finished in the top 10 in both of the rounds here at Silverstone, but not particularly high. The Carlin car not seeming to match too well to the Silverstone circuit. Faria down in 3rd position. Tom Levin after that victory up in the fourth, jumping over his teammate, the most consistent man in the championship when it comes to his top 10 finishes, John Bennett, with 5 consecutive top 10 finishes, the only driver to finish in the top 10 in each of the race. Matthew Rees on his comeback charge has been struggling a little bit. Pace has been good, but they've not been in the right position to take advantage of it. Now this is a bit crazy town in the championship. Max Setterson moving up courtesy of some great pace from the Douglas Motorsport camp this weekend, which might well back some of the drivers who are a bit further up. You can see Tommy Smith on the right hand side, considering the pace of his teammate this weekend. I think I might give him a little bit of a boost.
Yep, a couple of the teams have obviously shown some, again, not obviously, we can see they've shown some great pace this weekend. They've taken a step forward. I believe Elite Motorsport definitely taken a step forward. Douglas Motorsport taking a step forward. Everyone's closing up. Brand new cars at the start of this year, new aero, so the teams are obviously getting their head around things. They're getting their aero settings dialed in, they're getting their car settings dialed in, they're getting the drivers dialed in, and all going towards that optimum setup, which is bringing the field closer together. We've seen at the first round, High Tech seems to have the best car and the best package with driver and car combination, with Browning being dominant in the first 2 races. Not so dominant this weekend.
Nope, but still, the 2 podiums will be a pleasurable one. The issue comes with him rising up through the grid. He's got to battle his way through a lot of the great drivers down the end. This is what we were saying about earlier. If you qualify badly and then you have to roll through from 20th on the grid, you're rolling through drivers which kind of maybe wrong to say that they're bad, because they're obviously not, but comparatively. Whereas in this, when you reverse the grid, the first drivers that you come across are people that are the same speed as you, that are trying to work their way through the order at the same speed as you, which means that it's really, really difficult.
It's a very difficult thing to do, actually, because you're with the drivers that are very similar pace to you, and everyone's trying to move forward, and the grid comes together because the drivers at the front are the, in quote-unquote, slower drivers. Comparatively speaking, they're not that much slower. We're talking the spread in qualifying, less than 2 seconds cover the top 19 cars, second cover the top 10. It was, if you take second place down to 13th was less than a second, so it's very, very close grid. But you're with the same drivers you've been racing at the front, and the grid is coming together, so I'm expecting some fireworks in this race. Hopefully you'll have a lovely, thrilling race like we did have in GB4, both race 2 and race 3. Race 3 was dramatic as well. I'm expecting some moves, potentially some movement with people doing different starts. Some people are more consistent with their starts, some people are less consistent. Again, getting these cars off the line is very tricky, and getting that perfect start. You can jump 1, 2 rows. Sounds like they've got the whistle, which is indicating the cars are ready to join the track.
I did have a brief bump into John Bennett in the paddock, and we had a little bit of a chat, and he was saying that this might be the most important start of the weekend, the first lap here. Because he was saying he's starting obviously 13th spot after qualifying. He was saying that if he worked his way up the order, got past 3 or 4 of the cars, he's already into the region where he can fire his way past a few people quite quickly, because he's past the difficult ones. That's the kind of thing you've got to get past the hard drivers right at the start of the race. If you're still with them, once you've got basically down to the end of the hangar straight into Stowe, or realistically around like Abbey and the loop section, once everything's started to calm down a little bit, if you're still stuck behind some of those fast drivers, you're probably going to be stuck there for quite a long time. It's going to be very difficult to make a move.
We can see we have 4 new tyres on David Morales' car. 4 stickered tyres. So if he can get those tyres up to speed, he's going to have some good pace in this race.
This thing, obviously, John Jackson was speaking to Luke Browning, so we don't know exactly what's going on with that car, because he said after race 2, earlier on, after round 5 of the season, that they'd scrubbed the tyres in qualifying so that people didn't know when they were taking their fresh tyres. So who knows what's going on?
Sneaky.
Very good. It did cross my mind, but you know, you've got to try those things.
I like that sort of thing. It's really, really good when you see the tactics between the drivers, between the teams. Also, some teams I've seen try and take the stickers off. You can still kind of see what the stickers were. Yeah. But scrubbing the tyres in qualifying, sacrificing there's some time in qualifying to get those tyres, to have that advantage of not knowing when everyone's taking the tyres, is very sneaky but risky. You're putting a lot of faith in your driver, because that takes 1, maybe 2 laps away that are flying laps in the new tyre on the qualifying run. In theory, also saving your tyres for the race by a couple of laps as well. So there's positives and negatives to that sort of thing, but I really like the tactics that are being played already at this early stage of the championship.
Did see that, of course, the temperature around about 18 degrees, so it's about 8 degrees hotter than it was when we started the day in the GB4 Championship. The first race in the GB3 Championship was about 11 degrees ambient temperature. Yeah, there's a brand new tyre, at least on the right-hand side of Cian Shields' car as they begin their formation lap, already trying to put heat straight into the tyres. It's a long lap around here, 5.9 kilometres, plenty of space to put those heat cycles into the tyres, and how important is that on the opening lap here?
Absolutely important. Still not the warmest. Again, 17 degrees air temperature. I don't imagine the track temperature is much above that because we have had some sun, but not a huge amount. Again, making sure that your tyres are in the working window is so important. These Pirelli tyres, unlike the ones in Formula 1, they are cold. They're no tyre blankets, no tyre warmers. All the temperature must come from the drivers putting energy through the tyres, long loads, making sure they're using the braking, and there's definitely a skill to getting the speed there.
Well, David Morales will start from pole position. Cian Shields in second place, alongside in the front row of the grid. Fresh tyres for them. Tommy Smith and Nick Gilks, two that we've been really focusing on whether they would take victory in this race. They'll start from third and fourth. Gilks could be very very quick in this one. Zach Taylor looking for a decent result here, has struggled a little bit this weekend with Bryce Aaron alongside in that high-tech car in sixth position on the third row of the grid. Mikael Grundtvig, of course, pole position or reverse grid pole for him back in Oak Park, and took victory in that. Alex Connor alongside in 8th place. He's not looked quite as fast this weekend as he did in the previous round. Brandon Oxley, quite a few top 10s for the Chris Dittman racing car. 9th place that he'll have to start, and Javier Segura, after the issues earlier on in the weekend, will start this one from 10th. Callum Boysen, his teammate, will be one position behind, with Mackenzie Cresswell, who retired from the previous race after front wing damage and a little bit of smoke being departed from the car. John Bennett, 13th position, looking to move up inside that top 10 to make it 6 consecutive top 10 finishes, with Matthew Rees alongside in the JHR Developments car. Max Esterson, a great weekend from him so far for Douglas Motorsports. He's had 2 4th place finishes. He's alongside James Headley, who looks very quick around Silverstone, but starting from 16th is going to be hard work for him. Roberto Faria from 17th position, and then Luke Browning, your championship leader, 18th position after qualifying third in the opening race of the day. And then, of course, as you've been your front row for the last couple of races, Tom Leben, the race winner in round number 5, and Joel Gramfors, race winner in round number 4. That is a pretty exciting final row of the grid. It's going to be a long trip for them this afternoon.
Very much so. Showing the fastest drivers starting at the back of this grid, the the slowest drivers starting at the front. This is going to bring everyone together. I'm really looking forward to this. Hopefully we get some really good moves. Nice clean start would be great as well. The start's very important. You can see Tommy Smith there weaving, trying to heat up those rear tyres, doing some burnouts. Don't want to do it too much because the clutches on these cars with the 250 horsepower, you can quite easily burn them out. We've seen that in the GB4 first couple of rounds. Making sure that you're getting the temperature in without burning the clutch out is tricky.
Who's going to win?
Or if I'm going to have to put my money on someone, I'm going to go slightly off the script potentially. I think Nick Gilks.
Nick Gilks. I mean, David Morales obviously on fresh tyres. I've got to kind of go Tommy Smith. You know how it is. Nick, yeah, you've got to go with the goat. Come on, it's Tommy Smith Sunday. Let's go for it. We'll have to see what is going to happen. It's a tight one though. All about this race start, getting off of the grid. You were saying it before. It's a tiny little clutch pedal, and getting that right on a car like this is really tricky.
It's very heavy as well. It doesn't move very far. Very heavy, small pedal, and to get that launch. Tricky, but very important. Morales slightly ahead of his line now. I wonder if there will be anything coming of that.
Yeah, of course, we saw Chloe Grant starting way behind her lines. This is the exact opposite issue for David Morales in the Arden Motorsports car, that's starting from pole position. As we're all lined up, the lights will get ready as we'll prepare ourselves for round number 6 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, as we are underway once again at Silverstone. Tommy Smith's had a bad start from the second row of the grid. It's Nick Gilks who's got up at least into third place on the run into turn 1. A great start from Cian Shields, who's leading. Tommy Smith on the inside of David Morales, who's dropped backwards. Nick Gilks up into second position. Brandon Oxley over onto the grass on the left-hand side, a shot as he's just getting pushed wide. It's 4 wide running down to Magus Beckers and Chapel. Madness. This is GB4 style scenes that we've seen across the weekend so far, as they'll all try and pick their way through. It's the high-tech of Cian Shields leading though. Bryce Aaron in the middle of that, going side by side with a couple of cars, just trying to wrestle his way into the top 5. You can see him there side by side with Zach Taylor, who drops back in shot in that 5th position. 2 little trains here.
It looks like Browning has been the driver at the back who's made the most progress, gaining 2 or 3 positions so far. Very wide there through Stowe, and also that is Farrier that was wide through Stowe as well on the marbles.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what we're seeing. Javier Segura looking down the inside in that blue and yellow highlighted Carlin car. It's Grundtvig that's being pushed out a little bit wide, side by side with Alex Connor, who's gone very, very wide there. Oh, look at that. That's Callum Voisin straight around the outside, though. He's going to make it stick on Mackenzie Cresswell in that CDR car. And look at that. There's Joel Grandforce trying to make some work. There's Matthew Rees as well, going side by side with Brandon Oxley. And there's contact between the two. That front wing has gone on Matthew Rees's car. He bounces over the tarmac runoff as well.
I'd say that was an aggressive move across. Rees definitely had the line there. He had enough space to warrant him being able to go through the corner without getting chopped there. So I'd say that is unfortunately not Matthew Rees's fault, but he is the one that is the victim of that incident.
Just to look at a little bit 3 wide there, leaving the loop as they're all just trying to find their way into those positions. You can see the front wing is definitely broken on Matthew Rees's car. Mackenzie Cresswell, though, going defending a little bit here from Callum Voisin, who's on the attack. This is the battle. We saw some great moves between these two back in Oulton Park and throughout the day. It's, of course, the number 77 of David Morales. Oh, Tommy Smith, we've seen him run wide a few times to fair in the GB3 Championship, and there's another one to add to the resume of the GOAT, the number 16 of Tommy Smith in 4th position at the moment. Got to worry, though, about Bryce Aaron. He's had a great start to the race, up a position already. Javier Segura up 3, might well be up 4. He's going side by side with Zach Taylor, who's one way too wide, running through the first corner. I think Taylor might hang on to the position, but Javier Segura is definitely having questions with that one.
It's a frantic race so far. There's drama all the way up and down the field. I'd like to point out Granford's up 6 positions from the back of the grid to 14th place. If he continues from here, he's going to have an excellent race. Obviously, an extra point for every position gained.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. You can kind of spot him out there. He is looking down the inside. The yellow highlighted car. We're focused on Alex Connor, though, who's defending from the Fortec number 43 of Mikael Grundtvig, who's dropped back a few positions, now to 9th spot. I think that might have been another one for Grandforce. I think he might have just got past John Bennett. Alex Connor and Mikael Grundtvig still going side by side. Brandon Oxley also involved in it with Mackenzie Cresswell directly behind that. Not been a great start for John Bennett, and I think he might struggle to get a top 10 from this point of view. This is, though, for the 4th position. The look down the inside from Bryce Aaron. Tommy Smith is going to hang on.
Just about, very, very close at 135 miles an hour through there at Abbey Corner, completely flat out. If you're in the toe, sometimes you wash a bit wide, you might need to lift. I imagine Bryce Aaron lifted there, which is definitely the wise thing to do, but he's still right on the back of Tommy Smith there. That high-tech car we know has been fast, with Browning coming 2nd in round 1 of this weekend.
And I think you've got, you might be pretty much on, because look at this. Kean Shields might well be leading, might well have the fast lap courtesy of setting the first lap of the race, but he's having to worry about the hill speed car that is closing in. Megan Gilks did great things in the previous race of the GB4 Championship. Now her brother, her younger brother, doing well in the GB3 Championship, looking for a first victory. Seems like such a nice guy as well. I don't think he's going to be nice when the visor's down. He wants to go for that win. Bryce Aaron looking once again down the insiders. There's a little bit of side-by-side in the background. It's Mackenzie Cresswell defending from his teammate Brandon Oxley. Kean Shields does set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Shields setting the fastest lap of the race, but Gilks not far behind, only half a second. He can use that toe down the long straights we have here at Silverstone. As long as he can keep close enough through those long corners, try and manage the aero wash, then he could have an opportunity to get past at some point during this race. Again, applying that pressure to Shields. Shields, not the most experienced car driver here, straight in from karting this year. So if we can apply pressure, Gilks can continue to apply pressure. It might force him into a mistake, but it could be Kean Shields' first car win. We've got some action at the back as well. Leben.
Yeah, this is Tom Leben trying to go around the outside of Max Setterson for 16th position. There is Roberto Faria into the pit lane with a puncture on the rear. Obviously would have taken that from some of the car contact. Might have been, was that with Matthew? He went wide down at Stowe Corner, so I wonder if it was something in that sort of incident. Looks like they're going to try and get him back out in the race.
Yeah, that wasn't Faria that clashed with Rees, I don't believe. No. It was also with the wrong side, because Rees was on the inside, I believe.
I'm making things up as I'm going along. Oh my goodness, Joel Grandforce down the inside of his teammate, Swede against the Dane, and that is the position up once again. Grandforce looking for another top 10 finish. He's not very far away from it. He's up into 12th position right now. He has been on fire this weekend.
Absolutely, the pace he showed in qualifying, being the fastest qualifier, very impressive, and he's using that to good effect. He's now up from the back of the grid to 13th place.
Absolutely superb. Well, it would actually be 12th place, because he's obviously just past Grundtvig. Max Setterson having to worry about Tom Leben in the background, the blue car with the white 42 defending from the sort of more pinky purple front nose. Of course, that one is the Elite Motorsports, one that really stands out for especially against the Elite Motorsports car. They're always black and yellow. That one certainly not so much, but Max Setterson having to worry about it a little bit on the rear end. Back to our race leader as Shields run through. Gilks, then Morales, Smith, Aaron, Taylor, Segura, Connor, Cresswell with the fastest lap of the race, and Brandon Oxley rounding out the top 10. But they've got to worry about Granforce, who's making so much progress right now.
Granforce is soldiering on, not far off the back of Voisin now, only 4 tenths, but Voisin in turn only 2 tenths behind Oxley. This is all coming together. I'm hoping that this action continues.
Yeah, exactly. Might well be to be fair, the best race of the season so far. We've had some great ones, but this one, like you say, absolutely on fire. The top 2 have cleared away around about 2 seconds, which does mean that Gilks can kind of attack without worrying about what's happening behind, unlike everyone else in the race.
It's definitely an advantage. If you're trying to attack ahead and you've got a big space behind, you know that you can place your car wherever you want to. You can go outside, you can go inside, it doesn't matter, and you can choose your position, which gives you a big advantage. If you're in the middle of that group that is sort of 3rd through to about 9th place, you've got someone behind, so you know you can't afford to go wide, potentially make a mistake, because you're then going to go back places. So Gilks in a very good position, only 6 tenths back. I'm expecting him to have a go at Shields at some point if he can get close enough. Obviously, he did that nice move in one of the races earlier on this weekend into the Brooklands. Maybe he'll go there again.
Well, see, can Tommy Smith grab himself another podium? He's got to the outside there of David Morales. He's around the inside, though, once they hit the braking zone of the loop corner, out on the run down towards Aintree. Great little move, but he's still alongside through Aintree, which is a tricky corner by itself. They're going side by side through it. It's going to open up Aaron as well behind, who's in that 5th spot. This all for the battle for the final step on that podium, whilst in the background they weave all over the race. They're going to go 3 wide as Aaron looks to the inside. Tommy Smith up onto the podium, a bit of a lock up though, and Bryce Aaron, that is 2 for the price of 1. He's got past the 77 of Morales, he's got past the 16 of Tommy Smith, and now Zach Taylor's onto the scene as he tries to make it stick around the outside. Farrier into the pit lane, Zach Taylor wide at Luffield as well.
Forced off the circuit. Unfortunately, we didn't quite catch that. It looked like he got forced wide on the exit. I wonder whether the stewards will look at that. Excellent racing. Bryce Aaron, 2 places, 1 corner. Let's look at this again.
Let's see. So we'll see. It's just pushed out. I don't know if there was contact. I think it was just, just kind of running out wide, to be honest.
It looked like he was forced wide and to avoid collision, potentially run off the circuit. It'll be interesting to see what the stewards see that. As we got Javier Herrera.
Yeah, obviously it's Tommy Smith dropping backwards a little bit. Segura up another position. There's Alex Connor looking to the outside of Mackenzie Cresswell, 7th position. Tommy Smith, after those issues, is dropping backwards in this race. It is 6th place for them. Still Segura, that is, Farrier rather, out of the race. That's a bit of a shame for the Carlin team, especially for someone who's right up there in the championship fight. Had a couple of podiums last round, but hasn't had the greatest round. We've said this before, with the 6th and a 7th place here at Silverstone. Retirement now to add to the race list. Tommy Smith then dropping back behind Segura. Like you said, you've got the number 8 of Mackenzie Cresswell to worry about. You've got Alex Connor as well in this little group. It's a big, big train, and they've way dropped out of contention for the podium now.
Absolutely. The front 2 checking out now. 4 seconds between 2nd and 3rd place. The front 2, Shields, Gilks, their lap time separated by 1/1000th that last lap, so equal pace. It looks like Gilks has had a good run through the loop and the village in the loop, so he might be able to use the toe to draw onto the back of Shields and apply some more pressure, but Shields doing an excellent job so far. No mistakes, every lap very consistent.
Yeah, you can see here the gaps on the previous lap, the lap times from them. Bryce Aaron having, to be fair, doing a 55.2 whilst also making 2 positions. That is not too bad itself. There is Brandon Oxley defending from Zach Taylor. Yoel Granforce also knocking at the door to try and pick up a couple of spots here as they'll all work their way through. A little bit wide there from Brandon Oxley as he's just trying to catch the oversteer rolling through Brooklands, which is so easy to do when you're going for that late apex. The rig get a little bit skittish. Tommy Smith wide for the 2nd time in this race, and Alex Connor is going to try and go around the outside by the time they've reached the end of the 770 metre long front stretch heading into Copse Corner. Connor around the outside in the red and white Ardent. Position made a little bit wide though. Question marks will be had when it comes towards race control as Nick Gilks sets the fastest lap of the race. Tommy Smith will retake the position. They're side by side through Maggott, Beckett and Chappell indeed. Let's see how it goes. Tommy Smith does hang on, and Callum Voisin's on the scene now.
Whoa, there's side by side Maggott and Beckett. Alex Connor going around the outside of Copse. That is a very brave move move there. Didn't quite make it stick, but he's side by side again with Tommy Smith.
Yeah, and you've got Brandon Oxley going side by side with Callum Voisin in the foreground lap, the 32 and the 16, the 32, of course, of Alex Connor trying to make it stick around the outside. Brandon Oxley going around the outside, of course, of the Carlin of Callum Voisin. We'll look away from that as we focus on our race leader, Shields, still leading from Gilks, but the fastest lap going the way of Nick Gilks. He is really, really close. We're halfway through the race now, 5 laps completed, 5.5 laps really. It's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, it looks like Gilks is applying that pressure. He's decided now is the time to turn the screw, to try and put some more pressure on Cian Shields. Can Cian Shields hold that position? He's very, very experienced in karts and has led races many, many times before. Can he do it in this GB3 car? Again, very different to driving a car. Bryce Aaron, 3rd place. Great race for High Tech so far, so assuming that things continue as they are. Also a great race for Javier Segura. He's made some positions in this race.
Indeed. Well, we're going to go side by side. John Bennett's now to the inside of Tommy Smith as they head through Aintree and onto the backstretch. He's got Max Esterson as well. So 2 Douglas Motorsports cars it's going to go side by side with on the run down the Wellington straight. Back to the race lead. Still no opportunity for Nick Gilks to find his way past, but he has raced with Cian Shields a few times this weekend, including a big dive going down into Brooklands corner in the previous race earlier on this morning. He is closing right in with the momentum, looking, just filling up the mirrors ever so slightly.
Just trying to put Cian Shields off there, trying to just be in his mirrors, let him know he's there, even though he wasn't quite close enough to make the move. That is just applying every time you're close enough to have a look. It applies more and more pressure. Can he wear him down? Just 3 more laps for Cian Shields to defend.
Well, Joel Granfors has got himself inside the top 10 with a 10th place finish at the, or 10th on the road at the moment as he's battling out with Oxley. Mackenzie Cresswell, fastest lap of the race as of this moment. There is Joel Granfors, the Swede, working his way right the order. What an impressive drive. He does have John Bennett now behind us in 11th spot, who's still looking for another top 10 finish. There is Oxley going defensive. The two of them nearly made contact there on the hanger straight as they head into the braking zone. That one's not going to work, really not alongside enough, but potentially Oxley's a little bit deep into the corner, might open him up coming down into Vale.
I wonder if there's been a bit of a setup change on this Fortec car, because he has been the slowest, or one of the slowest in every speed trap throughout the races before, and a great cutback. That's great driving there from Cresswell, just blocking off that cutback. He knew he was going to go for it, but Granfors has been some of the slowest in the straight line. Sorry, Oxley, my mistake. He's going for the inside now. He looks like he's got a lot of straight line speed in this race. Can he hold it there? No, had to back out, and that's going to allow one of the elite of Bennett's to have a look.
That was very, very close to John Bennett coming through. He might have to lose out here to Max Esterson. There is Oxley defensive on the inside. Granfors also going for it. Bennett is going to lose out to Max Esterson. He'll feel a little bit aggrieved by that, just wrong-footed by the battling ahead. Still side by side as they run out towards Aintree. John Bennett holding off Max Esterson at the moment in that blue Douglas Motorsports car. He's had a great weekend so far, but John Bennett, he's desperate for more top 10s. There is Joel Granfors outside of Brooklands corner. They're going to continue that as the battle happens behind. Esterson manages to hang on from John Bennett, picking up the pieces of Bennett. I think he was rightfully so, trying to go for around the outside of Granfors there, but just a little bit too greedy.
Yeah, looks like Granfors is trying for the cutback there, but didn't quite get it hooked up in the middle. A bit of oversteer, which hurt his exit. Bennett right on the back of Axis Esterson, who is looking racy as well. Esterson defends.
Oh, that was a superb bit of a late defence, just trying to cover off John Bennett there in the Douglas Motorsports car. John Bennett driving, of course, for Elite Motorsports in that black and yellow. Back up to Segura. This is in 5th position at the moment. Of course, it's Mackenzie Cresswell with the fastest lap of the race, who's closing in, looking for a top 5 finish. He's disappointed after round number 5 of the season, the second race of this weekend at Silverstone, as he's desperate to go and get another top 5 finish, go and grab himself some more points. I think now Morales is starting to pull away just a little bit. Obviously, he's on those new tyres.
Yes, Morales taking the most use of those new tyres. Sounded like some screeching in the background. I wonder if anyone made a mistake there. We'll cut back to that in a moment, I'm sure. But Morales just pulling away from this groove ahead. It seems like the gap at the front stabilised slightly. Gilks not being able to make use of that momentum he had a lap ago. Still a couple of laps to go, so not all over yet. Bryce Aaron trying to chase them down. Ever so slightly faster than the leader Shields in that last lap.
Well, I know that Cian Shields obviously has a lot of family members here. I know his father's very, very supportive, and that obviously all of them in the paddock area. I was walking past the high-tech garages, or the tents earlier, and they were all stood outside, and there is not one or two. There is a good few of his friends and family here, and power to him. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders, though. I always kind of feel that when you've got friends and family here, you've got so much pressure on your shoulders to deliver, not only for the team, not only for yourself, but for them as well.
Depends on the driver. I would say some drivers, it's more pressure, but other drivers, they like having all that support there, as we can see, side by side, trying the outside line there.
Oh, this is going to be a big one. Around the outside, he wasn't really alongside enough, and the speed carried through. Javier Segura just able to hang on right there on Mackenzie Cresswell for 5th place.
Great racing again. I've been very impressed with the race in this. I've been very impressed with the racecraft during this race. Everyone side by side, pushing hard, but very, very little contact, apart from that one incident with Reese, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and like I say, it's just one of those things, especially in the opening lap when you're so tight. 2 laps left to go here at Silverstone before we wrap up all of the racing across, to be fair, the weekend. And what a weekend it's been. Alex Connor set the fastest lap of the race. Let's see what's happened between the 2 Vortex cars. This is Zach Taylor and Grunfig. Oh, Grunfig coming off of the corner ever so slightly into Zach Taylor. What do you think of that?
Absolutely, yeah, just a touch of wheels, it can be dangerous. We've seen that, touching wheels, dangerous, but a racing incident there, no damage done by the looks of it, so they'll carry on. I don't think any words will be said about that, but it shows how close the racing is. They're so close. I can't remember which lap it was before, but one of the CDR cars almost interlocking wheels with Javier Segura earlier on.
I mean, I think there might have been words inside the cockpit, but I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. After the race, it'll just be like, oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it? Either way, the fastest lap has been reset. You can see there, Cresswell's had it a couple of times and held it for the longest period of the race. But as we're moving on through, Alex Connor starting to set some faster lap times. He's got a long load of clean air, though. He's just ahead of Callum Voisin, who obviously Callum Voisin and Alex Connor came into contact last round at Alton Park, running down in the very first race of the championship. I was saying before earlier in the week, those two were racing online on iRacing at Donington Park and having a great battle between them. So clearly, good mates off the track. But when the visor's down, I don't care who you're friends with. Everyone's an enemy.
There are no friends when the visors are down. That is for sure. That is definitely for sure. It looks like Jilks has just dropped off the back of Shields, who's settled into a nice rhythm here. He's got one more lap to become a GB3 race winner for the first time.
This is where, I mean, I can only explain it from my point of view, having done light bits elsewhere. Surely at this point, all you can hear is like your heart rate. It's racing, it's racing, it's racing. You're focused, you're trying to keep in check, you're trying to breathe calm, but it is a long lap, 5.9 kilometres and potentially the longest lap of the day.
Absolutely, a longest lap of the year for Cian Shields coming up here, leading the race. He just needs to do 18 more turns without a mistake, and he should win this race. We've still got fighting down the field. That is Cresswell, I believe, trying to fight the back of Javier Segura, running slightly wide, hurting his exit. He'll be trying to look for a run up the Hanger Straight.
And Alex Connor's closing in. He's less than a second behind now, especially after that mistake. You can see the Arden running through shot there. The third car in line, obviously dragging Callum Voisin with him, who Voisin is the one now with the fastest lap of the race as we head on to that last lap, out onto the Hanger Straight for the final time. Just not close enough to go for a move. And I think that is still the case for the race lead. Cian Shields just having enough at hand. Obviously High Tech have matched well to this car. We've seen that with Luke Browning, but right now it seems to be going the way of his teammates. 2 on the podium as well.
Absolutely, High Tech always at the front there. They've got a good car this year, quite clearly being able to win races or have podiums with Browning in the first 2 races. But now Shields showing, and what a double podium potentially if everything stays as it is with Shields and Aaron. This will be a great weekend for them.
Absolutely superb. We'll have to wait and see though, because you've still got a few corners. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. I mean, we've seen plenty of teams and such do that too many times, and then one lock up, one mechanical failure, one anything, one big dive bomb from the car behind, getting a little bit too on it.
Last lap here going into the final sector. We saw earlier on today Jilks sending it out the inside of Shields. I think he might be slightly too far back to do that today. Regardless, Jilks will be very, very happy with the second place in this race, and Aaron as well with his first podium too.
Well, he missed out on the podium, of course, back at the previous round with that great move from David Morales. This one looks absolutely locked in. A couple more corners to go. We've run through Brooklands, Luffield the next one up. Finally, it has been a long 5.9 kilometre deep breath for Cian Shields, who departs the final corner, comes across the line, and he is now a winner in the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Round number 6 goes the way of High Tech Grand Prix, but this time it's Cian Shields, Nick Jilks behind for Hill Speed, and then Bryce Aaron, another podium for High Tech Grand Prix. David Morales will come across the line in 4th spot with Javier Segura keeping Mackenzie Cresswell at bay. Alex Connor and Callum Voisin weren't able to do anything. Got to say, brilliant drive. Brandon Oxley, cool, 9th place. Yoel Granfors, 20th to 10th. What a drive.
Excellent drive. He's shown some real maturity this weekend. He's got some great pace. He's used that to his advantage, able to pass the cars cleanly, clinically, and most importantly, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places ahead of Leben, and 6, 7, 8 places ahead of Browning. That is an excellent race for him. He'll be very happy with that, as will the Fortec team, with those bonus points for every position gained in race 3.
Well, I think, based on where things are, and again, I always say it, and I'll say it every time. I'm always going to emphasise it. Never trust the commentator's maths, but it should mean that Joel Granfors is going to take the lead of the championship by a single point. Either way, Shields, we'll look at the results. Well, before we even get into any of that, because that's too exciting to think of right now. Shields with a victory, ahead of Jilks, ahead of Aaron. Great drives from all three of those, and we'll be chatting to those a bit later on. David Morales and Javier Segura with Mackenzie Cresswell, Alex Connor, Callum Voisin, Brandon Oxley, and Joel Granfors inside the top 10. One driver who is missing inside the top 10, of course, you can see there is John Bennett. No 6th consecutive top 10 finish for Bennett either way. But Granfors, great drive up into 10th place. 11th on the grid, of course, was Esterson after battling it out up the grid. A great round for him. I know, obviously not a top 10, but 2 4th places and 11th. Brilliant stuff. John Bennett, then Tommy Smith dropping backwards from the front row of the grid after a couple of issues and clearly not being able to keep it on the road on the exit of Luffield. Leben then, after a race victory in the previous race, he goes up into 14th. Mikael Gruntvig dropping backwards. I think it's actually the first time that Gruntvig's had a race 3. He did last season of the GB3 Championship, and now this one. It's the first time, with the exception of a retirement, that he's not finished inside the top 10. So a bit of a shame there for Gruntvig.
I think that we're going to have some highlights here. I'll let you talk these through these first.
Yeah, what a race it was. So, of course, Luke Kean Shields would lead. See, I nearly said Luke Browning then, courtesy of how much we see Luke Browning at the front. It was Kean Shields leading from the front. Running wide was Brandon Oxley on that very first lap of the race, as they all roll through 3, 4, 5 wide even at some points as they roll through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. A little bit of contact here on the exit of the club, and then going through Vale. A little bit tricky there as Voisin was pushed wide. Matthew Rees looked to the inside. He made contact with Brandon Oxley, who managed to get on and even finish inside the top 10. Matthew Rees, though, he would be in the pit lane for repairs as Oxley would defend from Voisin. Then Joel Granfors, what a drive it was, starting from the back of the grid after a reverse grid start. The number 50 moving up the order, end up inside the top 10. Tommy Smith battling it out with David Morales. This was for 2nd position at the time, or 3rd position rather, because the top 2 had cleared off. Zach Taylor way too wide at Luffield, a very bumpy ride on the exit. Didn't have to worry about his teammate, the number 50 of Joel Granfors, who'd been closing in, marching his way up the order. Alex Connor would go side by side with Tommy Smith. Tommy Smith going backwards down the field, not really having the pace in the 3rd race of the weekend. Same as Oxley going around the outside of Callum Voisin. The craziness would continue. Esterson going side by side with John Bennett. Esterson marching his way up the order as he'd finished in 11th position. And the number 8 of Mackenzie Cresswell. The late fight from Mackenzie Cresswell on the rear end of Javier Segura, all way behind these two. Kean Shields, Nick Jilks. What a race from those two. And also, I mean, you've got to say, Bryce Aaron, a little bit by himself that race, but a well-deserved 3rd.
Absolutely well-deserved 3rd. I think it's worth a mention that the results that we've read out are provisional, and obviously it's provisional, so there might be something to come in the change of results there.
Well, we'll go down to John Jackson.
Well, here I am with the race. I'm here with the race winner. Kean, we heard from you in the chat we had earlier. In 8 months, you've gone from karting to winning a GB3 race. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's amazing, to be honest. It's never expected this in the first year, so I'm extremely happy.
And you put in a lot of work. You've been getting used to this car, obviously coming from a completely different type of car. And having the high-tech team around you must be a really big help for you in supplying such an exceptional car.
Yeah, I couldn't ask for better. They're always spot on with the setup, and they always manage to get there in the end. So yeah, I can't thank the team enough.
And we've also seen Luke Browning. You can see Luke Browning's car number 5 just behind there, and he's the fastest car of the weekend. So things going really well for high-tech, and obviously you've got Bryce as well, your teammate, on the podium with you.
Yeah, definitely. There's 2 of the best teammates to have around, obviously, to look at the data and everything and just to improve. So yeah, they're one of the best.
A good end to a great weekend for you. We'll let you go and celebrate with your parents. We've heard from your dad, James, quite a lot, so I'm sure you'll go and celebrate with them and the rest of the high-tech team. Kean, congratulations, your first race win in GB3. Kean Shields there with high-tech. We're going to come over here to the family affair, as you'll see it going on ahead of me now. Nick Jilks, how are you?
Tired? Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. Great race, really enjoyed it.
I think everyone on the grid there, I think, actually made up 2 places. So you started 4th and you came 2nd.
Yeah, exactly. I had a really good start, and then I tried to go for first, but Kean drove a fantastic race, and yeah, he made very few mistakes, so congratulations to him.
We saw you drop off slightly towards the end there. Was that a case of just going, you know what, I'm going to stick with second, that's absolutely fine, or was that an issue with the car, maybe just the tyres going slightly?
No, the car was amazing, and I just made a few mistakes. When you're second, right behind first, you always want to go for it. So just me making a few mistakes, inexperienced, but it was a great race overall.
Now, we obviously saw your sister Megan was the first female winner of the GB4 Championship. She's been on the podium before. Was there a little bit of rivalry with the family? Come on, you need to get on the podium, Nick.
Well, of course, for the donuts, right? You know.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about donuts at Alton Park. I think maybe I owe Nick Jilk some donuts now, so maybe Donington get some donuts.
Yeah, Timbits or Duncan, I don't mind.
Okay, yeah, we're not as fussy as a sister. Nick Jilk's there, your second place driver. Congratulations, Nick. We'll let you celebrate with the rest of your family and your father, who I know has come over from Canada just for this race. Nice one.
Thank you.
Okay, right, let's find Bryce Aaron. Bryce, we've talked a lot already and we haven't actually managed to chat on the podium yet, so P3 for you, Bryce Aaron, in the high tech. You must be pretty happy with how the weekend's gone, having seen, you know, for example, Luke Browning do so well already last time out, and you know, it's nice to have all three of your drivers on the podium at least once this weekend.
No, absolutely, it's a great weekend for high tech. I'm really happy to do my first podium in British F3. You know, it's definitely been a bit, but here we are, and I'm really happy at the minute. So I have to thank everybody at high tech, all my supporters, for really helping me get here.
I was just chatting there with Nick Jokes, and we said that everyone on the grid has made up 2 places from where they started. What was your strategy going into that race? Obviously, you know, with this reverse grid race, it does give you a chance of getting on the podium. Were you looking to get a solid start or just get ahead straight away?
I was really trying to you had to get a solid start and try to get ahead of a few. You know, we knew there were going to be some fast guys, you know, battling up, and just trying to get as far up the field as you can, and just trying to, you know, be able to attack the lead as soon as possibly as you can, because the issue is, as soon as you get into the race, it's a lot harder to pass if we found at Alton as we found here and in the past. So luckily we were able to make a move later on, pick up 2 positions later in the race. But yeah, really happy with that.
Now we know it's obviously a big day for American racing. In America, maybe in Florida, but here in the UK, success for an American getting on the podium here. Bryce Aaron, congratulations in the high tech. You are the 3rd place driver here. We're going to hand straight over actually to the podium, and we'll let the drivers get there and make their way there. And Lewis McGlade will talk you through all the action.
Indeed, I will. And again, what another fantastic race in the GB3 Championship. What a day we've had, what a weekend we've had. It's been absolutely enthralling from start to finish, both in the GB3 Championship and in the GB4 Championship. Here, of course, race 1 and race 2 of the weekend, round 4 and 5 of the Championship. We had the same podium in different orders. Victories for Yoel Granfor's, victory for Tom Leben, a couple of podiums as well for Luke Browning as they join them on the podium. This one, though, completely different. Podium and a victory for Kean Shields, podiums as well for Bryce Aaron and Nick Jilks. Jilks finished in 4th place in the 3rd round of the Championship in that reverse grid race, and obviously all of them very happy with each other. What a nice lad as well. I mean, they all seem very happy with the position they're in. I mean, why wouldn't you when you grab your first podium of the season? All of them we've yet to see on the podium. I will say, Bryce Aaron, the reason why we're almost so shocked, so to speak, great driver clearly, but that is not only his first podium in the GB3 Championship of 2022, but also his first top 10, which is not a bad way to jump straight up there. A brilliant effort for him. And again, the high-tech Grand Prix team, a bit disappointed, I'm sure they'll be with Luke Browning just not able to make the progress. Maybe they were still running the fairly high downforce setup that they were running both in race 1 and race 2 on Luke Browning, only able to get up to 17th position. Meanwhile, his championship rival Yoel Granfor's got all the way up to 1st, and I said take the lead of the championship by a single point, but don't trust my maths. That's just how I believe it is at the moment with the positions and such that they have gained. We'll welcome them onto the podium, and what a final lap it was. A big showdown between Kean Shields and between Nick Jilks. The Canadian was applying as much pressure as he could. There was just no opportunity for him to pass. The first driver, though, we will welcome out, of course, is the 3rd place finisher of Bryce Aaron. So far in the season, he's finished 12th, 15th, 17th, 19th, 12th. 3rd looks almost a little bit out of place, but it was so well deserved as he jumped up on the 3rd spot on the podium. 2nd place and another top 10 finish for Nick Jilks as he'll roll up onto the grid, and then our race winner Kean Shields for High Tech Grand Prix. Another win, their third win of the season as a team, as Jonathan Palmer will hand out the trophies once again. High Tech Grand Prix have matched well to the Tartar's MSV 022, the car that we're using this year. The higher downforce, it's 20 to 30% more in the downforce. It's got about 25 more brake horsepower than it did last season. A little bit heavier courtesy of the Halo. Clearly High Tech Grand Prix have matched it brilliantly, and they continue to do so as Kean Shields, the Scotsman, takes the victory. All three of the High Tech Grand Prix drivers now have a podium as well, so at least there is that to add to the record books, and it is their fifth and sixth podium of the season. 4, of course, for Luke Browning, and then 1 apiece for the other 2, despite by the end of the weekend still no champagne, but I'll allow it, at least for now, as we'll roll our way through. I think that was Luke Browning who was also up on the podium, as we'll view our way over the pit lane. Just to clarify, Yoel Grand Force, Luke Browning, 1 point separating them once again, 125 for Grand Force. Let's go and catch up with John Jackson.
Well, we've just seen the drivers on the podium there have their photos taken. We'll try and grab a word with Luke Browning in just a second. Exceptional race, we've had some exceptional races this weekend.
That was an awesome race for the F3, which has shown that Silverstone's a great circuit with Formula 3 cars. We've got some great racing there, some moving of positions, a bit of drama, and then a new winner as well.
I think we're going to go and try and grab some of the parents. We've got a lot of the parents congregated here. It's quite good, I guess, with it being like the last race of the weekend. There's no sort of restrictions on other cars getting in the way and things like that. Brent Gilks, I've got to pronounce your name right. It must be a beautiful thing for you to see not only Megan winning that first GB4 race earlier in the year, but also now seeing Nick on the podium.
Oh, it's fantastic to have both of them doing well. Nick just drove his socks off on that. He's worked so hard to learn so much in so little time. And to be scrapping it out with the 2 high-tech cars, that's great for hill speed. Really thrilled. Matt Shawyer has been great with Nick and just building his confidence. We went in there thinking we had a chance of winning, and that was courtesy of Matt and hill speed. They really worked hard with him.
And I was going to say, Nick's always, not being where he wants to be. With the beauty of this reverse grid, it kind of shows you that, there's drivers that are down the order, they can still very much hold their own. And Nick did that. And I said on the just there that every driver's made up 2 places there and managed to hold on.
It's a fantastic championship, right? You look at the grid times, 2 seconds covers the whole grid. There's very few that you can see that, and so yeah, it gives the lads who don't qualify quite as well, who are a little bit newer, like Kean and Nick, to really show their stuff, and at a great circuit like Silverstone as well. Fantastic.
Absolutely, you must be a very proud father. Brent Gilks, I'll let you go on and celebrate. I can see Megan in the background as well, and we'll see you at Donington Park.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to it.
Okay, we're being moved off by this very kind steward. I think we maybe have to move slightly off, Luke, but we'll chat. No, Luke, I still need you. I just want you to just to walk with me. Fastest lap of the weekend. You came into this as the championship leader. I think Yoel now has probably stepped ahead of you there. That last race, you didn't seem like you could make too much progress.
No, yeah, I got damaged on the first lap, unfortunately. So I had steering that was like this the whole way. So unfortunately, it is what it is for these reverse grid races. Yeah, bit of carnage. Unfortunately, a little bit out of my hands, but hey ho, we're on to the next.
But still the fastest lap of the weekend, so still a very positive weekend for you. Still very much in the hunt at the top there. I know we only had 2 rounds, but it must be nice to see your teammates on the podium as well.
That's amazing to see, P1 and P3, awesome to see King get his first win, and yeah, I've been delighted with the team, so celebrations tonight.
Excellent, Luke. I'll let you go. Luke Browning there from High Tech, doing exceptionally well. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more from Luke as the championship goes on. Piers Pryor, very exciting commentary there. We said we would hope to get a race as exciting as the GB4 races we've seen there. A word on Yoel Grand Force, who started, as Lewis said there in the commentary, 20th, and ended up, I think, 10th in the end.
Yeah, great race from Yoel Grand Force. He's been the fastest driver this weekend, even though Browning got the fastest lap of the weekend. I think, on balance, Yoel Grand Force was probably, with that fast lap in qualifying, 3.5 tenths clear, and then making the pace in the races. It was relentless. And then making all those places in race 3 showed that pace. He's got that pace, but he can also use that pace to then make passes. I think Browning probably would have made a few more paces if we if he hadn't had that contact in the first lap that we just heard about, he said that, I spoke to him just a moment ago, he said he was driving the whole race with the bent steering somewhere. There was no paint on the outside of his front left wheel. He said, I sent it up the inside, trying to go 3 wide, trying to make 2 positions, and it unfortunately cost him a bit. So that's that risk and reward they have to think about. But no, great weekend, a very close championship fight. I'm looking forward to the next few races to see how this all plays out.
I want you to pick a driver of the day from GB3 and GB4 in just a second. I am going to give you a moment to think about that. But in the meantime, someone like Matthew Rees there, who had a very unfortunate race there. And we saw in the first race weekend at Oulton Park, he did very well. He came on the podium, we chatted to him. When you've had, as a driver, a weekend like that, you come into the race weekend here at Silverstone and it doesn't go your way, how do you pick yourself up, going home now and knowing that it's 3 weeks until Donington?
It's a long time to think. You're always going to, on a Sunday evening, if you've had a bad weekend, maybe the Monday as well, you kind of stew over and you think, ifs and buts, and that's just a racing driver. But then at some point you've got to switch it off and go, right, next round, let's go. So I reckon next couple of days it might be a bit tough for someone who's had a bad weekend. Let's use Rees as an example. Unfortunately, the last race, I don't believe that was his fault, getting knocked out of that race there, damaging his front wing. So we'll see what happens in the results of that. But they'll all be looking forward. They're all professionals. Again, some of them quite young. With Rees, I think he's only 16, 17 years old. He didn't even think he was going to be in GB3 this year. He was planning to do F4 again, but he won the championship last year, so stepped up potentially early. Yeah, it's part of the learning process, because no one goes through their whole career without a bad weekend. Even the best drivers in the world, Hamiltons, the Verstappens, Leclercs, they've all been through all the junior formulas. They've had bad weekends. They've had to deal with setbacks, and it's the way you deal with that and getting used to dealing with that and using that as an advantage in the next round and learning from them, that is what makes you the better driver that you need to be as you advance up the series.
Now I asked you for a driver of the weekend. We'll start with GB3, as this is the GB3 race. I mean, for me, Joel Granfors in the Fortec, it has to be.
I'd say I agree. The pace he had in qualifying, the racecraft he's shown, he's now relinquished or sort of taken the championship lead away from Luke Browning, despite Luke Browning still having some great pace this weekend. So I think for me, yeah, I agree. Joel Granfors this weekend, great. Probably my driver of the weekend. GB4, it's very hard to say. It's great to see Lucas Romanek as well on the podium in his first weekend here. We had some wins from Alex Walker was right up there, but then that issue in race 2. So I say probably Nicholas Taylor's probably got to be the driver of the weekend. So 2 Fortec drivers.
Yeah, an exceptional weekend for Fortec. We've heard from Richard Dutton, and he was very, very pleased even before this race here. So Piers, thank you very much for your exceptional co-commentary. We'll see you again at Donington in 3 weeks' time, and it's a great opportunity for me to remind you of the rest of the race schedule. We've obviously already had Oulton Park. I said obviously there was a little tribute to Piers Pryor. Oulton Park a couple of weeks ago. Here at Silverstone now, Donington Park in 3 weeks' time as well. So that's the next time you're going to see races. We've also, as we go through the calendar, check my notes here because there's so many races. We go back to Setterson where we saw the GB4 cars take place. The first race of the season. From there we go to Setterson, 25th, 26th of June, 23rd and 24th of July. We head to Belgium where the GB3 cars will be racing at Spa. Then the following weekend we're back here at Silverstone on the GP track as well. The GB4 cars will rejoin the GB3 on the 30th and the 31st of July. We've then got 10th and 11th of September, the Brands Hatch GP track, which I know a lot of the drivers are looking forward to driving, and then it all ends at Donington Park on the 15th and the 16th of October, where hopefully, if things, someone hasn't run away with one of those titles, we will see an absolute battle to see who is crowned the champion of GB3 and the champion of GB4. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage. We hope that you've enjoyed all of the social media as well. We see a lot of the teams, a lot of the drivers sharing photos and sharing behind the scenes footage. Make sure you're following the GB3 and the GB4 Championships for all of the updates until we see you at Donington Park in 3 weeks' time. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you then.